All right, let's get started then. Yeah, so obviously I'm sure everybody remembers, but where we left off, everybody is in the Crow Fort. You guys were just exiting the central keep to kind of go about your various businesses and then deciding on your next course of action. I figured we'd probably, just for a couple of the background things that I got in Discord for what you guys wanted to do, we'll probably just skip ahead a couple hours. Probably be about 6:30 or so. Still the same day. You guys haven't gone to sleep yet. So 6:30 p.m. Still on wine day. You guys do know there's a holiday tomorrow called Ludi Apollyon.
Ooh.
There you go. That's Thursday, the following day. Not that anybody will necessarily be celebrating, but it is normally a celebration anyways.
Does it have something to do with the moon?
Are you asking about the name based on the name?
Yeah.
No. So you're asking about Ludi? Is that, were you thinking Luna?
No, I thought Apollo had something to do with the god of
Apollo is
isn't he the god of that went something to have to do with the moon or space?
No, holds the planet up in Greek.
Oh, see, I was close. Come on, give me space if he holds the planet up.
I'll tell you this, in the real world mythology of it, Apollyon is another name for Abaddon in the Bible.
Isn't that a demon?
Yes, in the Bible, Abaddon is the god of knowledge, or it was the seraph, rather, an angel of knowledge. That was
Then it gave something to the humans, and then
that's Prometheus you're thinking of. That's kind of that would be the Christian equivalent of Prometheus, essentially. Yeah.
How did Abaddon become a demon?
Prometheus.
I enjoy these little history lessons.
In Christianity, he was just one of the angels that followed Lucifer and was thrown out of heaven, the morning star.
Nice.
So a fallen angel, essentially. So he's called a seraph specifically, which are angels, but he was, also because of considered equivalent to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and Eve eating the apple of knowledge from the tree of knowledge, rather, which it wasn't supposed to do, the knowledge to evil in ancient Christian religions, in the Old Testament in particular. Same idea. God of knowledge was thrown out for knowing too much, essentially, for questioning God. But Apollyon is, in Christianity, is just another name for Abaddon.
Apollyon. So
anyway.
Ludi Apollyon. What does this? What is it? Would we know what this is about?
Yeah. It's a yearly festival that it's kind of spans cultures. It's not really a religious thing, but it is. It's a festival about riddles and puzzles and things like that. Like, it's basically just a festival of games where people would play a lot of kind of games of kind of mental gymnastics, essentially. And this Ludi Apollyon is actually a Roman festival, like in the real world. But anyways, the festival in our game is essentially that. But it just happens to be coming up tomorrow. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to be celebrating or anything, only because the circumstances you guys are in, unless you guys decide to teleport out and are in a place where they might celebrate in time, then you guys might see some of those celebrations. But otherwise, it doesn't appear they will here. So that's where we left off. I started again a much more brief recap of the Fast Erudition for you guys. I know I've been promising it literally for a fucking year. I looked back at the calendar and we finished, I think it was back in March, technically.
Is this when you guys blew up the fucking moon?
Yes. Yeah. We technically finished Balance on March 3rd of 2019, so we're coming up on a year that I've been, I actually intended to start writing it before that, specifically so that Fox would have a reference. To kind of explain the kind of brief recap of what the entire Balance campaign was, because specifically your characters know all about it. You guys know every bit of it because you broadcast to everyone and kind of download it into your minds. So for that reason, it's stuff you guys wouldn't know, and there will be, where you guys are, either way, whichever kind of place you guys decide to go, whether it's these two or any other, you'll be running into more bits and pieces of that history, and therefore that background will be relevant for you. So when I initially, twice now, 2 different times, I've started rewriting it from the beginning for that recap, and both times it ballooned out very rapidly because, I mean, keep in mind we were playing that for a year and a half, so all of that time there's a lot of details that seem like they should be necessary by the end. So I ended up throwing in all these what end up being superfluous details and ended up kind of stripping back out. I think I'm just going to go with a very brief kind of recap of all of it, and then if there are details that are missed from it, I'll kind of add those in later on, rather than giving you a bajillion, names and places and things and all that kind of stuff. Obviously,
I think maybe you should write it the way that you would tell it to, like, a group of kids, where those kinds of things aren't super necessary.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like, most average people would just they'd get the basic broad strokes.
Yeah.
I bet 50% of the United States, I bet half the country doesn't even know, like, why we celebrate Christmas. I'd throw 50%. Like, how it originated. I bet you'd be
that's that's way more than 50. But even still, that's the same idea, and that's fair. And, like, obviously, I don't intend that as any kind of a knock.
I'm pretty sure less than half the United States knows Obama's first name. I think this was a thing that they did a poll. Most people do not know his first name.
Yeah, it's Osama, right?
Yeah. Hey, the fact that we had a president with a middle name of Hussein fucking boggles my mind also.
That is pretty crazy. Okay, so let's get started here. All right, where you guys left off, though, you guys were all essentially, going about your own individual business. So for now, until you guys decide to reconvene back together, we will assume that you're kind of... This is acting up here. There we go. You guys are kind of continuing to do just that, kind of handling your individual businesses before returning to the kettle, or going to the kettle keep. You guys haven't even explored that yet. But we'll pick up from there. So, what is Pogo doing?
Pogo is actually going to see if everyone wants to go check out the keep, because he is very anxious for a nice hot bath. And he's going to do, if he needs to, he's going to find some way to get hot water. Light a fire under a giant bathtub if he has to. If anyone wants to, does anyone here want to join me in the bath? Are you sure? I'm pretty small, plenty of room for both of us. You don't have to take your clothes off, don't be dirty.
Taking a bath.
We're taking a bath with clothes on.
Just like, just wrap a fine sheet around yourself and get in the water. It'll be alright.
Yeah, no, I think I'll take a bath.
Alright, is everybody going to head?
You want to join me in the bath? We can talk sports.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Alright!
Let's go.
So what I'm gonna do is, in the keep,
Rufus.
if there isn't a bathtub big enough for the two of us, I'm gonna have him pull a bathtub from one of the other rooms and put it in the middle of that room that I pulled out. So we're gonna put the bathtubs right in the middle.
Well, put simply, I mean, you guys haven't been into the kettle keep yet. It is a very large place. I gave you guys the maps, of course. Your characters haven't seen them, but you as players have seen the maps. It's not designed with Yogg in mind at all. The doorways are all 6.5 to 7 feet, and kind of built for human stature, I'd say, just because that is the most common general size.
Leave them alone. Get out of here.
Does my room not have a bath at all? Do any of the rooms not have baths?
It's not something you would necessarily find in an individual room. It's the kind of thing that there would be in a centralized...
I'm going to write a letter to the man who designed this map. Alright, well, we're putting a bath in the room. We're putting 2 baths in the room. And if we don't have baths, really big pots. We're going to get them from the basement.
Okay. Well, then, I have the entire place for you guys to actually know. If you wanted to, we can, but as far as the exploration of the place, we don't need to actually go through it room by room or anything.
Sure.
But, it's a very big place, of course. Strong walls. There are defensible watch points and murder holes all over the place, which on the maps they look like kind of V's that are in the walls. That's called a murder hole for shooting out with a bow and arrow.
Sure.
But the ground floor, there's a courtyard, a chapel, a forge, a stable, and then the great hall. In the cellar, there are guards' quarters, enough for about 15 or so comfortably. And then if they needed to go in shifts, you could do at least 30 in a necessity. There's a jail, but just a small jail. A small crypt.
Do you mean a sex dungeon?
I mean, you'd have to be pretty odd. You'd have to be like Marquis de Sade maybe to enjoy that. But I mean,
But there is a sex dungeon. Should we need a sex dungeon? Got it. Understood.
Second floor, there's a war room and an audience hall. Bedrooms mostly are up there, and then there's balconies and windows that oversee the courtyard and the great hall and the chapel. The third floor is the commander's bedchamber was there, and a waiting room, as well as some parapet towers and walkways along the ramparts. And that's kind of the main gist of the place. But as far as where you guys could put, you guys will narratively just say that you find a place in the cellar, which is a little easier to keep the heat kind of self-contained. And in the room off of the kitchen, you pull in a couple of large tubs. For Norok, even the largest for you is going to be a little like awkwardly small, but enough that you can probably sit in it with just kind of refilling large pots, like cooking pots, on the stove, and then pouring the hot water into the bath so that you have take a bath. Any particular conversing you're doing after you're refilling these tubs?
I'm just going to ask Norok about his past and find out how he joined this motley crew.
I joined it the same way as everybody else. Was kidnapped.
You were kidnapped?
Yeah.
You? Who the hell could kidnap you?
Yeah, I know. They sent a giant after me. I got my dead against. No, they actually. Yeah, not just me, but in my village, and kidnapped a bunch of people, and that's how Arteme and Seraphina joined us too. We were all being sold as slaves, and we got ourselves out of it.
Oh, that sounds terrible. How long ago was that?
It's been what, like 3 months, 6 months?
3 months ago.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, damn, not even that long. Okay. Yeah, it's only been a few weeks. I mean, hell, maybe 2 months at the most. Because again, Norok wouldn't know exactly, probably. So.
Wow, that is quite the time you've had. And he's just gonna kind of wash himself in air. He's like, so, any other adventures that have been worth talking about since I've met up with you? Things that you've done. Basically, when I met up with you, it felt like you were already in the middle of something important. And besides this whole mess fiasco, is this what you've been doing for the last few months?
Yeah, we got ourselves mixed up into some trouble. So again, escape our slavers, and then
just a little trouble. Just one country trying to murder everyone else.
They got caught up in the middle of that, so we thought we were free, and then ended up going on the the giant march with everybody, and then broke out of there. So.
Yikes! Do you know much about this other emperor? I was feeling pretty good about this side until he decided to turn off the portal. Do we know, is he an alright guy? Like, I mean, I'm getting a little worried here about this situation.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even trust any of these damn city folk anymore. Stuff's a lot easier out where you used to live. I'm trying to
starting to look that way. What about that woman that we helped save, the one who wasn't looking so good? Is that someone you used to know?
We actually met her in the process of all of this too, but it seems like she could be important in helping everybody out. We can get her fixed up somehow.
I hope so.
Yeah, she was. We saw her when we were escaping the march of everybody. So. Yeah,
I've got to admit, I'm very impressed with your motherly instincts that you were able to take care of her. I didn't think I'd ever see a side of you like that. Kind of thought you were just gonna get frustrated and rip her in two. Seemed like where that might be going.
That's always an option.
Apparently. Okay, but I do have something very serious to ask you. So just keep this in mind. How many push-ups can you do?
All of them.
Yeah, I remember you were pulling that cart and I couldn't do anything but try to brush the sweat off Samson's face. That's all I could do while he's just running through a bloody hot mess of dirt and mud. Oh, it's impressive. Oh boy. Well, I'm proud and happy to have you on this random bunch of miscreants that seem to be getting in and out of trouble all day long. I'm having quite the adventure, I must admit. Should write a book. I'll call it The Halfling. A Halfling's Journey.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have a lot more fun adventures before we're done here.
Hopefully not too much. Honestly, That last, did you see that giant that just fucking, his head exploded, you stabbed him in the back of the, that's, I think, the top level tier of adventure that anyone really needs to have. I'd be happy at this point, maybe just finding a pretty girl and joining her in a bath one of these evenings. I think we all require that. Yeah. Nothing but soldiers. Are there any, did you see any attractive female soldiers down there, or was it mostly just other men?
Oh, I couldn't really tell. I just saw a bunch of dudes. So.
You just see the tops of their heads. You have no idea. All right. I think that's pretty much all Pogo was just chit-chatting about.
All right. How about Arteme? What's Arteme up to?
I guess gathering supplies.
Inside the kettle, I guess. What kind of supplies? Where you? I guess be more specific. What are you gathering supplies for?
Well, aren't I going on?
Yes, you guys haven't really thought about or discussed, anyways, where you're going. So, are you just gathering the kinds of supplies you might need for a trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, non-perishable foods, stuff like that, stuff to make more arrows, traps, etc., etc.
You ask around the Crow Fort, not in the Kettle Keep, but around the Crow Fort, for where Rook might be, or where the quartermistress is, because you haven't seen her yet since the Crow Fort was raised. And is Rufus not listening?
No.
Here,
He ate his bone, and now he wants to throw his bones.
That's a typical puppy behavior. You ask around the Crow Fort, though, for where Rook and where the quartermistress might be, and they point you to what sounds like a tavern from the outside in the northwest corner of the keep there. On approach, you're quite sure that's what it is. Inside, I'd given the description to Banya last week, but the inside is almost opulent, with red carpets and tapestries and everything hanging everywhere. Very upscale tavern, kind of a feel to it, hotel area. And you're pointed back to what you find. It looks like basically like a tavern room, and there is the same the helper, the quartermaster that you've seen behind the table, not Rook, but her helper, behind the bar. And he points you to a back room where you do find Rook, and inside is a slightly better smelling. Looks like she's been forced to bathe Sorsha, the Albashar woman that Dorak was taking care of. She's wearing an ill-fitting clothing, but still looks like she needs a lot of help potentially. But anyways, Rook, on seeing you come in, she says, "Oh, I'm good to see that you made it out of all of that. Were you looking for something?"
Yeah, travel supplies.
What kind of traveling you planning? You need, tents. I mean, I know you made some previously. Did those hold up okay?
Yeah, the tents will be fine. Basically stuff to make a few more arrows, some traps.
Like hunting traps, like bear trap type?
Not necessarily bears, but yeah.
Okay. Well, tell you what, I've got to kind of keep an eye on her here. She's not able to talk. By the way, when you see your big friend, do you mind sending him in, over? Because I kind of need to get back to work, and I can't really leave her unattended here. So if you see him, have him come in and I'll take her. And she's like, she's almost ignoring Sorsha. Like she doesn't she's still awkward. Like doesn't seem to understand how to interact with her. But she says, well, just get with Wilson outside and let him know what you need. Tell him that I gave permission to grab whatever supplies you might need.
Sure. Thanks.
She just nods. And back outside, or in the main room, which is still very lively, of course, a lot of tables that are playing dice and cards and things like that. The man behind the counter, which you now know his name is Wilson, does help you with gathering whatever supplies you need, some fletching, arrow supplies, things like that, small things for making snares and traps of that sort. He says, this will take care of wildlife nearby, that kind of stuff. Anything else you might need to, cover your trip?
Not really.
I have no idea.
Then, well, good luck out there. I hope you're finding some means of getting past all of the legions. They may be further back, but they're still going to be dangerous if you get out that way. So, just be careful out there.
Will do.
You heading back to? Well, I guess where are you going then?
Probably back to the West before heading out.
Okay.
It's so
come back
early.
in. It's still by this point, for your guys' talk and her walking over there getting supplies, probably close to about 7 p.m. or so. Coming back, then we'll go to Norok is with Pogo. So Norok doing anything other than just your conversation with Pogo in the bath?
We're broing out in the tub.
Yeah, and then just gonna kind of go. Although I forgot to actually even choose a room, but I'll go find one and choose it, and you'll see whichever one.
Norok doesn't seem to be the pickiest of men in this scenario. I don't think.
I just have to choose whatever.
He's
room
gonna.
I can
I imagine he's gonna sleep on one of the kitchen tables, just fucking laid out.
With multiple tankards around his head. So you just grab one when he gets thirsty. Alright, then what is Sarah doing?
Before, just to let you know, Norok, after this bath, I'm gonna get nice and fresh, and I'm gonna go down and hang out down at the where all the people are drinking and playing cards and everything down in the main courtyard. What is it? The pub, basically the public area of this establishment, of this fort.
You haven't seen it yet, Pogo, but Norok has, so
But I assume it's there.
just, yeah.
I'll say, yeah, I got there some food and a beer there earlier, so I'll show you where that's.
Fantastic.
Then what is Sarah up to?
Taking a bath, and that's when I'll check on my hand.
In the same room with them?
No.
No, come in. Oh, come on in. Just see you at the door. Come on in. Water's fine. We're gonna hang out.
Is there not
It's
another bath?
relaxing. No, we actually had to drag the second bath in here.
Yeah, there's, you know what we'll do is I think we'll probably set this room, one of these rooms off of the kitchens to be the kind of dedicated bathroom. Although that one won't work because that also goes into where the jail is, so unless you want guards walking through. We'll figure out, I guess you guys figure out on the map where you want to make the dedicated bathroom, but there are tubs that you guys, will just for now just say that you just kind of pull one off to a room somewhere off the kitchen somewhere so that you can get hot water pretty easily.
I know all the rooms connect to other rooms.
They pretty much do. I mean, that's how any kind of a,
Well, what's wrong with this room we're in right now? It's a storage facility.
I mean, you probably wouldn't. You could if you wanted to. That would be essentially a pantry.
You could have bathtubs and rolls of cheese. Is there a better evening? I think not.
Like the humidity might ruin your bread rolls if you're gonna make, if you're gonna bake.
Have you ever had sourdough?
To be honest, I have no idea how to make any of those things, so I don't know. I just know that it's very sensitive to environmental.
You'll put them in barrels. They'll be fine.
You put bread in barrels?
Yeah, why not? We got plenty of barrels. Look, there's a whole room filled with cheese right there next to it. You can go and eat a roll of cheese, and then take a bath.
We'll make that the bathroom because for actual
Fantastic.
bathroom. On the map, you'll see a bunch of little corners where there's a hole in the floor. Those are in the pots.
Yeah, those are where you shit in the hole.
Yep. So we'll just assume that there are curtains in front of those. All right. Then what was Sarah doing though? Other than finding a bath, I guess, and finding a room rather than drag a bath too, filling it up. You guys thankfully don't need that much water for you, Pogo. Checking your oxygen.
Yeah.
I'm
so
basically
I
like a
check
baby
my
taking a
room,
bath in a sink.
And then afterwards, I want to go find that book or a library or something.
Okay. We'll say that Pogo and Norok are chatting for a while, so they're probably taking longer, whereas for yours it might have been a little bit more, maybe 5 minutes of relaxing and otherwise just getting out so that you can go find a book.
Wait, did you take a bath in the room with us too?
No.
Oh,
We went to this room over here, temporarily anyways. So anyways, you take a quick bath and then head back out. The Crow Fort itself, after kind of wandering through all the halls of the place, you don't see a room that is currently equipped as a library. There aren't any places full of books. There are plenty of rooms that you can convert if you wanted to make a library, you started to amass books enough to do so. But there isn't one in there already. That said, you make your way back out into the Crow Fort after striking out inside the Kettle Keep, and you happen across one of the mages that is still out where the Older Rock is. There's two that are kind of keeping the blizzard portal up, going, and asking one of them. In fact, it ends up being the same man that Pogo had spoken to earlier. He tells you that there is a library inside the central keep. Are you asking about a library, or are you asking about a book?
I would ask about a library, and then once I found the library, go look for.
Okay, look for the book by yourself and not reveal what it is you're looking for.
Yeah, not that it's some huge secret, but yeah.
Then
Sarah doesn't like to tell people what she does.
He tells you where to find it inside. In fact, it's right. It would be beside. It'd be the next door over from the war room. It's kind of around a corner, so it's not sharing a wall necessarily, but the next door down. So you've been there before. You step inside. The room is empty. It's full of books and there's shelves and everything. It's actually dark. There's no lantern lit or anything of that sort. But you can see in darkness anyway. So are you gonna just dig through books until you find what you're looking for?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an investigation roll. It's probably going to take you a while to find it, so we'll probably have to come back to you in a bit. Yeah, you start your search, but you're not even close to the right section, and you're not really sure what the organizational plan is for this little mini library so far. But you just know that you're not even close yet. These aren't even history books, so it's going to take you a bit. So we'll come back to you in a bit there. Back to Pogo. We're just using the initiative order in the combat tracker, by the way.
Oh, okay. Pogo is now feeling nice and fresh and clean. Is going to hop out of his massive tub. Well, actually, he's going to probably climb out because he's tiny. And he's going to throw a small towel around his waist and make his way back to the room that he's claimed. And he's going to put on his same still dirty clothes because he got nothing better. And he is going to scour in some of the rooms to see if he can find some fine-smelling perfume or some form of maybe a nice oil he can put on himself to help make him smell nice and pretty.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
God, I'm so bad at everything. At everything, fucking perception and what is it? Intelligence? No, it's wisdom or intelligence. What is it? Intelligence. Well, it doesn't matter. Both my intelligence and wisdom are shit, so they're never good.
It's pretty much you got charisma and dex, nothing else. You're a negative and average and everything else.
I kind of like it. It's fun.
You go through every single goddamn drawer in the commander's room, and not a one of them. There is nothing.
By the way, I definitely leave them all open. I don't go and close them. I leave them open like there's a poltergeist. I just don't even care. Just going through.
They are almost all empty. First of all, so when you were
these
told already
OCD
that
crow-blinding bastards just don't leave shit around.
Well, remember that they were specifically Gibbet, the crow blinders named Gibbets and Strings, who you met Strings earlier, were tasked with coming here and emptying out the commander's chambers as well as the other crow blinders that lived here. So it seems like they got pretty much everything. You do find just old books and things like that, but nothing of particular interest. Just stuff that probably wasn't personal effects necessarily of the commander. But there's definitely no oils or like lotions or anything of that sort.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna get my hair looking nice, and I'm gonna go and find Norok and be like, Norok, let's go grab an ale down at where everyone's hanging out. I like being social. We just murdered a giant. And I'm gonna do a little like try to high five him, but I'm gonna jump as high as I can to give him a little high five, like at his waist.
All right, and while we're there, you can tell everybody that you killed the giant. You took the last hit on the giant.
Oh, I'm gonna sing about killing a giant.
Yeah.
You can have my back. You can have my back on that one.
Yeah, I would tell him that he was even bigger than me.
He was bigger than you.
No, yeah, that's what you can tell everybody, that he was even bigger than this guy, and then you can point at me. So.
There were people there that saw, so your story may not, garner the truth necessarily, but
they've forgotten by now. It's been a couple hours.
An hour and a half, really, or 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right. Did you guys make your way towards the crow's nest then? Norok showing the way, obviously. Not that you couldn't find it because it's starting to get. The sun is going down basically very soon, so it'll be. In fact, actually, by now it would be. The sun would be down over the horizon in the west, because we're coming up towards winter. So basically the sun going down, it's starting to get dark and relatively quiet, except for the constant blowing of wind and snow. So enough that the noise of the crow's nest is kind of making it out to everyone. So you guys make your way there.
On the way out, by the way, I'd probably look to see if Arteme or Serafina were there, to see if they wanted to come with us. We're going to go enjoy a drink now.
You would see Arteme coming back, actually. So Arteme, you run into Norok and Pogo on their way out of the Kettle Keep.
Come with us! We're going to go have a beer! Did you switch to the other mic?
Yeah,
we're back to sickly child again. I apologize. Your other mic sounded like a real, live, eccentric human being for a minute, and then it went back to.
No, it's the same mic.
Maybe I'm just being too
better
loud.
there. I think part of it too is that Fox, oftentimes the very first part of what you're saying gets cut off. So you end up where even a full syllable, we're only getting half of it. So if it's a single syllable response, we barely get a noise. And so, anyway.
Okay,
I think it's that thick Canadian accent. That's the problem.
Wow.
I'm kidding. All right, come with us. Come grab a drink.
No thanks, I have preparations to finish.
All right. Well, you're missing out, but I will take one for you, okay?
Whatever makes you happy.
Well, you don't want to promise things you can't keep, all right? I'm going to give her a wink after that little statement.
All right, you guys make your way towards the crow's nest then. Arteme, the Kettle Keep is quiet. Doesn't appear, as far as when you first step in, anyways, you don't hear anybody here. But you step into the courtyard. Where are you going?
Probably to take a bath.
Okay. Then you head down to the kitchens, kind of having some instinct in knowing that that's probably where the warm water would be. You find 3 tubs vacant tubs with cooling, but still, tepid water, still semi-warm. One in a room by itself, and 2 in another room near the kitchen.
Okay, the one by itself, I'm gonna empty it and refill it with hot water.
Okay. Then you do so and take a bit to relax and take a bath. While you're there, give me a perception check. You hear banging sounds like door knocks, like loud door knocks, coming from down the hall a ways. You're in the cellar, so just from your kind of sharp elven ears. In fact, I'll put you on here so you know where you're at.
Oh, I forgot. I would have told Norok to go find Rook, that his friend is still with her and she'll get back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. I forgot about that. We're heading that way anyway, so thank you.
Just scream it from the bathtub through one of the little arrow holes.
Yeah.
Norok, your friend!
Yeah.
I didn't see you guys leaving.
By the way.
I guess I'll take Pogo and Norok off of this map here. But Arteme down in the cellar. Do you still have the cellar map up?
Yeah.
Okay. You are hearing sounds of banging on doors. And the first time you hear it, it's coming from this area. It sounds like it's probably upstairs, coming from up there. Just your ears are sharp enough to be able to pick it up. So through some doors, basically, and some distance away, it sounds like it's above you. Banging on doors, like somebody. It sounds like if you're trying to knock on a door and somebody's not responding, like maybe they're asleep and you're banging on it really loud, like back of your fist. That's what it sounds like. And first you hear it from up there, and 30 seconds or so passes, and then you hear similarly from. You probably hear it coming from the stairs, maybe up here. You hear the same thing, echoing down the stairs from above. And then, are you doing anything, or just letting these noises go on?
I'd probably wrap up my get dressed and go to.
Okay. Enough time has passed. You've had time enough to get a decent relaxation and a bath, especially kind of wash off some of the blood from the Amora that was floated above your heads, all that kind of stuff. You're all pretty disgusting before that.
I'd try and figure out where in the keep I could put a
Put a what?
waterfall. It's way better than a bath.
You gonna like install some plumbing?
Yeah, you're gonna need like some plumbing, like a water pump of some kind.
I was actually thinking about some of my spells. I was like, oh, I could have used heat metal to keep the bath nice and toasty the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so
And then
even
touch the edge. Oh fuck!
There's a spell, Prestidigitation, that you can actually use as a cantrip that you can use for cleaning yourself automatically. It's just essentially like for giving yourself a bath, basically. It does 1,000 things. That's just one of them. It's like a basic cantrip. But as far as the spells that you have prepared, if you had anything like control water or something like that, you could use something like that to kind of give yourself a temporary shower.
I could make a plant that ends up. I'd have to figure out a plant that holds water, and I could put one of those with like. Yeah, that would be a perfect.
I don't know of any spells that would circulate water, though. Is the thing you'd need some means of a pump essentially to push water up. So that it can circulate.
Just have your little, what's the little animals called? The little Sai. Just have Sai just spit water at you. Like just be up on a higher area. Just.
If it's going through a plant, the plant would be essentially spitting water. You could probably just look over your not stuff you have prepared right now necessarily, stuff you have available, and if you can come up with some. Creative means of that we could probably rig up something of that sort. Just let me know what you're thinking, and we'll give you some checks and so on.
Well, I do have a spell called Create Water.
Well, you could, Create Water would work. Something like Shape Water or Control Water, those would work as well. It's just a matter of whether you would kind of be using a spell slot every day to give yourself a bath, basically, or at least as often as you chose to. Doesn't necessarily need to be every day, especially.
That's why I was thinking more of a plant that I could make grow that would be able to do somewhat of a waterfall, and then I leave it there so I wouldn't have to regrow it all.
Well, the issue with that is that there aren't many plants that are say kinetically active. There are things like a Venus flytrap, for example, but they react to a specific stimulus, and it's not a constant pumping. It's not like a motorized motion. They just don't. Plants don't have energy enough to be able to do that. So plants derive energy from photosynthesis. Photosynthesis doesn't give them enough, essentially calories, enough energy for them to be constantly moving. So it would be basically the plant would kill itself trying to do something like that.
I mean, you could use like Mage Hand to just pour on you, like keep going down and up, just pour water over your head.
Something like Mage Hand would work.
But at that point, you might as well just use your own hand to pour water up over your head.
Well, it wouldn't constantly be moving, so I'd only activate it when I needed it, right?
Sure.
I guess
limited control over plant.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've got an idea. What if you made a kind of a very large something similar to a tulip that you could fill with warm water and then have it slowly pour on you?
Well, that's how ancient medieval showers were made. It was a bucket with a handle, and you just pull the bucket, and it's on a.
But I'm like 90% sure she can't grow a bucket.
She could make like you're describing. She could make a plant-shaped bucket, right? That she could tip over enough to pour while just pulling on a string, essentially.
I feel like Pogo would be very excited about helping you make a shower bucket.
It's so like pervy and awkward.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, let's test this out.
All right, let's get naked. I'm waiting.
I'm dedicated bucket pourer.
Yeah,
I got this.
Pogo would try to play it off.
I'll even do it for free. I'm just gonna stand up there with a bucket.
Anyways, but you are hearing this sound kind of echoing through the keep, which is it's otherwise quiet. You're hearing the wind that's kind of echoing through the stairwells and everything. But other than that, you just keep hearing this banging sound. It sounds like it's going from door to door, basically.
Okay, I would go check where the sound was most recent.
Okay.
By the way, this sounds like my nightmare. Like you're in the shower, the bath, and just some random banging. This is my nightmare.
Where every goddamn morning, it's inevitable. Every single morning, while I'm in the shower, work calls every time. They won't call 5 minutes before. They won't call as soon as I get out. It's every goddamn day. They like help desk or one of my technicians will call, needing something while I'm in their fucking shower. And they can't, like, if I just grab my phone, hope not in the water, of course, but if I just grab my phone and put it on speaker, they can't hear me if the water's running, so I have to turn it off and then stand there in the cold, waiting for them to fucking get to the point and answer what they need.
Do you take a shower like the same time every day?
No, varies from one day to the next. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I could set an alarm and I could call you and just like, what's up?
I'm just gonna hit ignore. I know what you're trying to do, asshole.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So you hop out, dry off, get clothed, and head upstairs. Back on the ground floor. If you still have the first floor map up, I'll drop it on you. You can remember, you guys can always grab it from the images button on the right side too for individual ones. Sarah's not on there, so we can put her off. And we will drag Arteme over. There we are. You head up the stairs, and the last place you heard it was at this door right here. Do you see yourself on the first floor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And as soon as you get there, actually, you hear banging coming from around the door, like around, not this door, but right around the hallway. You falling out there to look, what this noise is coming from?
Yeah, I'd go look.
Okay. Outside, this door is open. The one that is statue on is open, and the banging is coming from this door right here. You hear, now that you're like close enough, you hear hello, hello, and then the banging continues.
Oh, Arteme is gonna get raped and murdered.
It sounds like a man's voice, like a human man.
Okay, I'll open the door and say hello.
So trusting! Yes!
Not that certainly soldiers are certainly not about, well, these guys are, but soldiers in generally awfully pro-rape, but certainly in medieval times. But not these guys necessarily.
The key point, though, is they usually try to only rape the bad guys. So,
well, say the bad guys, but, I mean, part of the point of this, too, like, even if, I don't know if you guys haven't had too many opportunities as well. Let's say Justin.
For rape, I've had very few.
Not that. that neither side of this are potentially the good guys or the bad guys. The rest of the group have had more opportunities to see that Pogo's pretty much almost the Mist and the Crowblinders being the good guys. But anyway, you open the door though, and it's a very kind of slender, looks like he's been starving for a while, which to be fair is most of the refugees in the Chain of Dogs look pretty emaciated and underfed. But it's an older guy, looks very meek, bald, and he's kind of pounding in the door, and it's clear that it's like taking quite a bit of effort. In fact, he'll probably have bruises on his hands because he just doesn't look strong enough to be making that amount of noise. He says, "Oh, hello, miss. The commander, he asked me if I would come and maybe help out around here if you guys needed somebody. I was wondering if you might have a place for me to stay. I mean, I can cook and clean and whatever you guys need."
You say yes, woman.
Pogo wants himself a slave.
So bad. Not a slave, a servant. Someone who feels indentured to us.
An indentured servant. Other word for slave.
I mean, if that's Pogo's thing, but...
I so wish I was there right now, but I'm not. This is just talking. This is just Justin.
I'm just gonna give him like a weary look and say, sure. I'm gonna have marked where everybody chose a room on the map and just say these are off limits. And
I mean, you're standing in front of this old guy. Like, if you're gonna tour the whole place with him, you can show him those. Otherwise, he won't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I'd give him a map of the place that I drew.
Have a map.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Have a map that you drew.
I was just taking a bath, thinking about how I could make a shower with a plant, drawing a map of our new house. Overachiever.
But you could, let's just say narratively, you could, go to a room and give it, a room.
Sure. I could
knowing that this isn't one of the ones, because you guys, in fact, you guys haven't even been here all together, so you haven't even discussed whose room it's with.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I just claimed the tower.
Yeah. Which, by the way, let me share that real quick too, Fox. You said the tower, so I assumed you meant the crenellated tower, like the highest tower, right? That's the one you're talking about?
Yes, because it has like a few floors, so I have a few floors to myself.
Okay, I see what you. Okay, so I'm going to share this one to everybody. I assumed this was the one you were talking about down here. This is the tower.
You're just gonna take. Okay.
Yes, that's the one I was talking about. It has like
I thought so.
and it goes up and down.
Yeah.
So
that's. So. To make sure.
Does that
No,
just have a door that goes like to kill yourself? Is that what that door's for?
No.
What?
So that door that's on the
Door
north
to-
side.
yeah.
This door, that goes.
Yeah, where's that?
That's the ramparts. That's outside.
Oh, I get it. All
So
right.
all of this area, this is like up above, way above. This down here, this is overlooking the courtyard. So if you were here, you're looking down the ramparts down to the
I
courtyard.
get it.
Okay, makes sense now. Everybody understands this, right? So
I do.
Okay, and then if
I think I got confused because of the other rooftops.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you went out this door from Fox's room or Artemis' room, and then walked along here, and then over here, you would get to Pogo's room, because this is the one that Pogo asked for.
Yep.
This was the commander's bed.
Hey, we're sharing a floor, kind of, sort of.
Jeez, how could you make that sound creepy? We're
I'm getting pretty good at this.
These, by the way, these are what I was talking. These little V shapes right here in the walls. You guys see those?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can shoot arrows and you can get angles, but they can't shoot back except for that tiny little hole.
Yep. Those are called murder holes. That's exactly what it's
Murder holes.
Fox, I'll try to edit the map and put a bed in there for you. But yeah, you can basically see out, through the murder holes, and you have stairs going down, and you have that door that goes to the outside if you want to. It'll probably be a little bit cold there, so you probably, want to, because those murder holes are open, so you probably do something to plug those in the door to kind of keep some heat in there. But otherwise, you can certainly convert that into a bedroom. All right, so where are you showing him to kind of set up his little servant's quarters?
Isn't there already servants' quarters in there or something? Or like
There's a bunch of guards' quarters that you probably don't need. Like the cellar has a ton of beds and places like that you can give him. He may not be the only one you guys may need more help than the one person potentially. But you didn't ask his name either, which is very rude because he's offering to kind of help you guys out. And you're just going to say, "Hey, slave, go do this," instead of giving him or having a name.
I just agreed to him staying here. It's not like I'm going to ask him to do anything.
And he just got her out of the bathtub. I mean, you gotta sometimes just be like, "Excuse me, I'm taking a bath."
He's the rude one. Okay.
Hope he feels very bad about himself.
But you do have a point. I will ask him his name.
His name's Abraham. So
Okay.
we'll have that. Presumably, Artemis would need to introduce him because eventually people are going to come back. Everybody's going to come back to the Kettle Keep and find this old man sleeping in a corner somewhere.
Oh, if you don't think I'm inviting people back to my new digs.
Check out my new house.
Nah, we're having a party tonight before going to sleep.
What was that, Fuck?
You said he was sent by the commander. Just commander.
Pepperjack. The room on the same floor as yours, that was Pepperjack's room.
Oh, so he's the one who sent Abraham?
His name is Abraham.
He sent Abraham, yes.
He sent. Yes. Yeah, Abraham said that the commander asked him if he would work for you guys, if he would come in and kind of. Just while you're walking around with him, he tells you that he worked as a houseman, like a butler, essentially, for before he was evicted out of Al-Qadir. He's been with the Chain of Dogs the entire time. You might even vaguely recognize his face. Just there were 30,000 when you guys left Al-Qadir. There's only 2,000 left, but most of them are dead by now. But anyways, he was a butler essentially, and that's why the commander has asked him to kind of help take care of you guys because you don't really have soldiers to do it for you. And the commander has given you the place, but there's going to be a lot of work to do to upkeep it. So he's basically asked him to kind of help take care of the place.
Okay, I'll show him to like the bedroom that's off the kitchen in the back off the kitchen.
Where do you mean? Go ahead and put a mark on where you mean. You're talking about in the cellar? Okay. That's not a bedroom, although there are beds there that, well, you know what? I mean, you could, because this right next to it is a jail. This would be like a small castle dungeon kind of a place. You could certainly have that set up as a bedroom, But either way, I mean, you can show it to him and he can do that for now, even if you change your mind later.
Yeah, even if it's just temporary to figure out where everyone else is sleeping, I would tell them that if anybody else is coming to live in the keep, just to like, if they don't mind sharing, and then have like a room on the door.
Hang on, I got super robotic all of a sudden.
Okay, now got it.
Yeah, I think it's on the last side. Okay, let's just give it a second. Everything connection wise
Audio is getting crazy.
Yeah. It's probably Discord. Are you guys okay? So fuck. I'm gonna shut up. You guys talk for a second, and
I don't think we can.
Okay, do you sound robotic to each other as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we're back. No, we're not. Halfway. If by robotic you looking at. Fuck, that's crazy. Look at that guy. Hey, this sounds good so far.
Yeah, I set it all back the way it's supposed to be. So.
There it is.
We'll see if it crashes again. I don't know what actually broke it. That was so. Let's say the normal kinds of audio crashes we've had have been on the secondary PC, not the primary.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I'm not sure what even caused it, except that last week rather, when we played, there was a Windows update that I had just applied half an hour before the game, and it broke all of the audio settings, which is why we still don't have sound effects, because I didn't go back through and fix it all. I just set it to kind of the temporary one, which is where you guys still have background music and everything. Anyway, that though broke all of the audio devices, all the virtual audio devices that I use to pipe sound for different programs.
I'll be right back, guys.
And one of those, I think, is what crashed, I'm guessing. Because when I reset it worked fine. I'm bringing the server back up now. Let's just give it a sec. Oh, okay. Oh, I already see you guys trying to connect. All right. Did it actually crash for you guys, or did it just stay? Did Fantasy Ground stay up?
It crashed. It just logged us out.
Ah.
If you can call it logging us out, crash.
Did it take you back to the launcher screen?
Yeah, it just took us back to like the sliding screen.
Gotcha. Well, it's all back now. I just gotta load up my window layout and everything. And the maps I had up. Go. Okay, and then for the Kettle Keep, I have a map of the rooftops as well, the actual tops of them. If you guys ended up needing that at some point, but just let me know if you need. If there's something you're going to do, then I'll look it up.
Whew.
Okay, I show you guys connecting, or it says connect. Okay, now you're loading.
We're working on it.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to make sure that I did Fantasy Grounds loaded correctly.
So I just listened to the first episode of Critical Role, where a character actually dies, and it made me sad.
Okay, hang on. So you're in season 2 still, right?
Season 2, yeah. I never watched season 1, so I'm on season 2, and Molly Muck.
Yep, I knew exactly.
Fucking stabbed, and I was just sitting there. I was like, "Holy shit!" And the whole group got fucking silent. Even the guy who's playing the little goblin, who always has witty and clever little remarks.
Yep.
The whole room went silent.
Yep.
And it was like the first episode after the other two had their baby, and apparently, without them there, this whole thing just goes to shit. I was like listening to them formulate a plan, and I'm like, this sounds like a terrible idea. Let's join a stranger to attack 5 random people who run an entire guild of smuggling people who've already managed to go off with 2 of our stronger people. Fantastic. It's like, oh, this is going to end poorly. I thought he was going to like chop one of the arms off of the girl at the end for, when they stopped that battle. I was actually a little mad that all he did was tell her that she'd have to live with that reminder of what she did that day.
Was it the blonde girl?
I don't know. I was listening to it,
okay.
Just audio. No, it was the new girl. What was it? Ashley? Is Ashley?
So she's not new. Yasha's character is the barbarian woman,
and she was kidnapped, and then is the same actress who plays Yasha? Is she now the big cow lady that can transform into shapeshifter, a druid?
No, that was a. Okay, I see what you mean.
Because I haven't watched it.
That was a guest.
Oh, yeah, that was a guest. All right.
Yeah.
I know Keg is a guest. Keg is the dwarf that just jumped out.
If you played Borderlands, that's Tiny Tina. That's her.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's Ashley Birch. That was Keg. And I think Sumali was the woman that played the furball druid, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I haven't since the people had their baby. I haven't actually watched it on YouTube. I've just been listening, and it confused me because first I was like, "Holy shit, is that the Mollymock guy doing this new voice?" That's a very feminine voice. Or I thought he was doing like one of those Simpsons things, like where that girl voices Bart Simpson.
They are professional voice actors. But
True. You
quite
wouldn't
good.
know.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
All right. So where we left off, Arteme was walking Abraham around the keep and then gave him a place. He set down his kind of you know what a rucksack is? Like a haversack. Well, a rucksack specifically, but a bindle. Do you know what a bindle is?
It's the little thing on the back of a stick that homeless people carry around.
Exactly. It's like when you think of a hobo with a stick over their shoulder.
How do you fit a can of beans in this thing? It's tiny.
But he sets that, essentially, his stuff, including his walking stick, down beside the bed in that kind of temporary chamber for him. He says, okay, miss, and he kind of rubs his hands together. He says, where do you want me to get started? Okay.
Did she get
Now
quieter?
Yeah, you're
How did you get quieter?
quieter than your normal deathbed sound somehow.
Just put the mic in your. There we go. That sounds like a human being now.
So what is it you said, Fox?
Whatever you want to start with, I guess.
Perfect.
I mean, it's getting late. I can start some dinner.
Sure.
He kind of.
Want some help?
I mean, I'm kind of used to working on my own. I mean, no, miss, you go about whatever your business is. I'll take care of it.
Sure.
All right. We'll come back around. What is Norok and Pogo going to the crow's nest? Then you make your way in. It's getting more and more raucous and loud. Like it's clear that the soldiers and you guys are heading to the bar area, right? Not into the hotel part, but into the bar.
Oh yeah. If I hear people being loud, I'm gonna head there.
Okay. Yeah, it's clear that they, as you guys both had noticed previous, that the soldiers were very quick to kind of return to what seemed like a normal life for them, a normal work. After the battle, now that you're here, it's clear that they're celebrating despite their. It's almost like they're not thinking about or recognizing that they just went through a pretty traumatic event, and this is their way of dealing with it. Just kind of pretending that everything is great and just having fun celebrating. Because it's basically, it seems like it's much more raucous than you would expect a bunch of soldiers right after a battle where they just lost friends. But it's quite loud. Lots of banging tankards and a lot of tables. They're playing dice and cards and things like that. But seem to be having a good time. So tables are all full. What are you guys doing?
So I'm gonna walk through, and I'm going to go straight to the bar and get myself a large ale, an oversized ale for my tiny body, and I'm going to use my hat of disguise to give me a kind of a entertainer's clothes, flashy ribbons, make myself look peacocking, if you will.
So even of this world, you would know, and you probably would even have an actual cloak like this. Anyways, maybe since you've had this hat for a while, you probably use the hat just for simplicity's sake to do this. But Gleemen generally wear, it's specifically when they're performing, wear a long cloak that is patchwork, like a very bright, vibrant, like bold and kind of garish colors. But
I'm
patches
putting that on.
Okay.
And then I'm going to grab a very large tankard of ale, one oversized, and it's nice and loud. Is there any kind of stage in this establishment, or is it just tables?
No, there's here, I'll get you the map.
Oh, there's an actual map of this place.
Come prepared.
Oh, I think you showed this last time.
Yeah, Norok was here before. I wasn't prepared enough to have a bajillion tokens of everybody, but just imagine it being full.
All right, I'm going to go up to Norok. I'm actually going to get another large tankard of beer and bring it to Norok and ask him if he has a minute, if he wants to join me up on stage. I just need him to go to the drums and do a little dump bump each time I tell a joke. This giant, massive man behind a tiny individual drum and cymbal set.
Well, no, for real, it's really funny because I didn't intend this, but there's actually a set of drums on this map. You see it? Those three circles are supposed to be drums because there's a stool there. What else would those three be? You know what I mean? It's a stage, so it's clear that's supposed to be a drum.
All right. So I'm gonna tell Norak. Do you have a second?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Do me a favor, Norak. Give me a nice loud drum beat. Get everyone's attention.
All right,
And I'm gonna raise my arms in the air as he's drumming down, with one of my giant, oversized ale in my hand, and I'm gonna start. While he's playing, I'm going to start at the top of my voice. Oh, Lee isn't here. This is going to be embarrassing because she has no idea what's going on. There's no context, so this is just going to be weird. All right, everybody! If I can have your attention, please!
The place goes mostly quiet, looking up at the stage. There's smiles on faces that are starting to grow. It's clear that they're seeing your cloak and knowing what you are, expecting some kind of a performance.
And Norak is still playing. I'm like, Norak, just. So, first, I'd like you to raise a glass. And everyone raises a glass, I'm assuming.
Hmm?
May you have food for all our lost soldiers today. May you have food and raiment, a soft pillow for your head, and may you be 40 years in heaven before the devil knows you're dead. And I'm going to take a swig off of the ale. And hopefully everyone else does the same. And then I'm going to tell Norak, like, all right, do these room shots after each joke, okay? So it was a hard day, it was a long day, everybody. I am happy to have lived through it, and I'm happy to one day see my wife. Is anyone here married? Jeremy, you got to play the crowd.
Yeah, their hands going up, like kind of cautious, not sure where you're going.
Aye. Is your wife an angel, sir?
No, not so much. To kind of why I'm out here.
No. What about you, sir? Is your wife an angel?
Very much so.
No, that's sweet. You're lucky. Mine's still breathing. And I turn to Norak. Ba-dum-bumps.
Yeah. I'll just hit it just gently so I don't smash the drums.
Fantastic. All right. Would all of you like to hear a song? And is it, by the way, is it mostly men or they're men and women?
Men and women. It's probably 60-40.
All right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my lute. I don't actually have one, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to sing this song. A pretty girl men fight for, they've even started wars. How pretty does she have to be when she's down upon all fours? I find the ones who aren't so pretty are diamonds in the rough. 'Cause pretty girls may look good, but the ugly know their stuff. And then I'm going to turn around, I'm going to use my hat of disguise to make me look like this super ugly woman. Like just a hideous young woman, right? And I'm going to turn back around. And I'm going to sing it in this voice. Just spend the night with Mabel. I overcame my fears by going to the Gawkin Bowls and drinking 15 beers. She would do it all night long. She never calls it quits. And her favorite way to please you is by robbing with her. And then I'm going to turn back around. Be they ugly or unsightly or just plain make you sick. Every girl is pretty with her lips wrapped round your hey nunny 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 hey nunny 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 hey nunny nunny hey hey hey. So I'm gonna sing that song.
Go ahead and give me a performance check. They're definitely raucous, like people banging their feet against the floor with the beat of the song. Was North singing alongside as well? Gee?
Were you dancing along?
Were you hitting the drums along with it?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be able to dance drum. I'd have to sit down to reach those drums. So yeah.
Oh, would you look at this? Would you look at this guy right here? I'm telling you, he's so big. If he buys a fur coat, that species is going to be extinct. He's so big, he doesn't fit in this joke.
And more chuckles and laughs. There are people banging their tank, like
He's so big that if he ever died, he'd break the stairway to heaven. So I shared a room with this big guy right here, right? So big, he somehow fell off all four sides of the bed. All right, guys. I hope you have a merry evening, and buy us a drink. And then I'm gonna go ahead and leave the stage. Hopefully made an impression on everybody.
Yeah, like as you're even stepping down from the stage, there are people clapping you on the shoulder and on the back. There aren't. You've noticed that there are no halflings amongst the Crowblinders, not necessarily on purpose. You just at least haven't seen any. Most of them are human, but a few elves, the occasional dwarf. But very few that are of your stature, anyways. That are kind of so that the shoulder slaps are maybe a little slightly inebriated, a little harder than they otherwise need to be. But offers of drinks through every person you pass. What's that, G?
He's talking to the dog.
But you make your way out into the crowd, which is just very well enamored with you. You've certainly earned the appreciation of the entire establishment, the whole room there. Very, very raucous and enjoying their time, certainly.
I'm going to go up to the bar. I'm going to stand on a bar chair, and I'm going to drink. I'm going to chug my ale all the way to the end, and then start drinking the next one that whoever buys for me.
Oh, the next one that's given to you?
Yep.
Gotcha. Go ahead and give me a Constitution check.
Oh, I'm going to be shit-hammered.
Yeah, Norok, these aren't going to affect you really at all. In fact, actually, by now, the bath you've had, since it's been a day and a half since, I'll say that you're largely faded. That was a strength check. We'll just take your strength anyways. What is your con modifier?
Oh, it's...
Hero?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, yeah. That's +1, actually, Constitution.
All right, a total of 8.
8.
Yeah, we'll use the initial d20 roll.
Yep, much better.
Yeah, so total of 8. You are just like, it's been a long day. You haven't eaten a whole lot. You finally got in a bath shower, but you mostly empty stomach basically. And then you drank a shit ton after like.
And now I'm going to try to eat something deep fried to go along with my beverage.
That's perfect, right? That's exactly what you need.
Whatever I can.
Singing yourself, like you haven't practiced for a couple of weeks of real long performance and everything. So you've kind of hyperventilated yourself by singing and telling jokes so loudly. And between all of that and the ale, you've certainly gotten yourself pretty inebriated. Starting to stumble, starting to slur words, things like that.
Awesome.
This place is great. We'll come back around to you guys. What is Sarah up to after finding the library? Searching through. Go ahead and give me another investigation check. You managed to find a section that you think has the kind of, basically it's not really on Vavi, but it is history. And after the third book, it has some sections on it. I bet. The section, this kind of half bookcase, couple shelves on a bookcase that you find has some bits of history that do include Vavi. You manage to find a book that is illegible to you, and you recognize the language because it's written in what are called Khufu glyphs, which is the ancient Vavian language that are like pictographs, like cuneiform or hieroglyphs. And it's written in that, and you can't translate these. You don't know what these glyphs mean necessarily, but you find this book that, based because the cover is written in Old Vavic, it's written in the equivalent to like a translated version on the cover. That this is a history that could potentially be useful, but you need to be able to translate those glyphs. So you're going to need to find another book to kind of cross-reference, essentially, to pull the information out of this.
That's fine. I'll take that book, and the book that I was originally looking for was a book on the Vavian language, so I could try to learn it.
Yeah, that is it. That book is essentially what you would use to translate it. It's not specifically. You're not going to find a book on the language, but instead you'd have to kind of learn what the word. What you're looking for would be like a dictionary, essentially, and that doesn't really exist.
Okay.
Language is usually taught verbally, not on the page. Especially if you're learning another language. But this book could suffice. You would just need to be able to translate it using another book, essentially, because there isn't one that's this word equals this word equals this, like a English to German dictionary. That doesn't exist.
Okay. And how long have I spent doing this?
Probably not long. Probably half an hour. It's not a huge library.
Okay, then I will look for the other book then. That might help me translate.
Sure. Then go ahead and give me another investigation check for that. Okay. In fact, just a few more books down the line, you find one that has some glyphs in it that are translated. Basically, this is like an archaeological representation of, in fact, the same place that you guys were in Kafunamat, that pyramid. That it's basically that. It's like an archaeological explanation of the things that they found. They've drawn the glyphs in there, and then what they think that means. So it's about the closest you're going to be able to find to a translated dictionary. But it is specifically that. It's kind of exactly the kind of thing that you guys were doing when you were hired by the Kembrian Sun Antiquities to search that pyramid. Same exact thing, except by an academic, as opposed to you guys kind of going in to clear out the place.
Okay, then I'm just going to slip both of those books in my bag and go back to the keep.
Okay. When you are making your way back to the keep, you do find Quill is on his way to the front door. Like he's heading to the front gate.
Okay.
You meet him there.
Perfect timing.
Oh, yeah, I was just coming to meet you. Or were you ready to sit down and have a couple glasses and see if we go over whatever questions you might have?
Yeah, this would be a great time.
Are your friends coming too? I mean, I imagine they will have questions as well. Should we wait for them?
I'm not exactly sure where everyone is. Maybe we should just go in and see who all's here.
When you say that, you hear like uproarious laughter and like banging sounds coming from the northwest. Just happens
I'm guessing
to be while
Pogo's over there.
Pogos everywhere.
Arteme, as you guys are discussing this though and heading in through the front door, you see Arteme and an old man standing in the courtyard. Bill says, "Oh, Lady Arteme, I suppose that's one down, right?"
Yeah. Anybody else here?
No, they went to the tavern a while ago. Is Ibrahim with me, or is he still in the kitchen?
He's with you. This is
Okay.
before. All this stuff is happening at the same time, so this is before he's gone down to the kitchen.
Well, I'll say this is Abraham, Pepper Jackson, over to kind of be a caretaker, so there might be more people coming.
Okay. That could be useful. We have a ton of space.
The old man shakes your hand, like walks up to you, shakes your hand, kind of leaning down. He's taller than you, but not by a whole lot. Shakes your hand. He says, "Well, yeah, I'll take care of any messes you guys might need help with, or I'll make dinner, things like that. I've got a lot of experience at that, so as long as you guys don't mind me hanging around and finding a corner to sleep in, then I'll take care of the place for you."
Dinner would be fantastic.
I'll get right on it.
You're amazing. Thank you.
He just nods and he kind of points. He says, "Is this way, Miss?"
Sir, what did you? What did
He's
sir ask?
he's asking. Oh,
I
Right.
just said you're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
and he's just asking for what direction the kitchen is or kitchens are. So you guys point him in the right direction. And he makes his way off there. Quill says, "Oh, okay. Well then, with that settled, are we waiting for your colleagues?" I wouldn't say no to a couple of glasses of wine or something in the meantime, and a warm fire. It's getting awfully chilly out here.
Yeah. Let's go see what we can't find.
All right, you guys make your way down to probably the best on the first floor. Probably the best spot for this would be in this room. Oops. You guys go to your first floor map right there. Move the table out of the way and use that fireplace there in front of the where that bear rug is. But you guys pull up chairs. Have a couple of glasses of wine. He says, I guess while we're waiting, did you have specific questions? I'm sure some of this will have to wait until you kind of heard the whole spiel about what happened and all.
I'm just wondering how they all got together, really, and what may have been that turning point that, changed all, made them all go their separate ways.
Yeah, I kind of that was what you'd asked originally, so I figured that was your kind of primary question. And that to really explain all of that, we've got to kind of start from the beginning. So, if they're going to need to know the information as well, maybe we wait for your friends to get back. But if you're not, sure that they even care or would need to know, then we can just get started now. Up to you.
I'm not sure that they care, and if they do, then I can let them know what we've talked about.
Lady Arteme, you agree?
Sure.
All right. Well, then, in that case, so for Pogo and Norok, you guys are out getting drunk and having fun, and Arteme and Sarah are going to have a history lesson. So you guys will. Most of this, you guys may. Well, Norok definitely would not know this stuff, just because history isn't something that's taught to young children. Pogo probably does, just from knowing stories and everything. So you guys will both kind of have some of this information you guys could share amongst yourselves later. He says, before we get started, then, Miss, if I may ask, our brief delve into the Mephuan subterrane a couple weeks back, is that what sparked this interest in the histories, or where'd this come from?
Just heard Misetsu's name around and just got me curious.
He kind of squints a little. He says, I mean, Misetsu isn't a name that is generally thrown around. If I may ask, where are you hearing this name?
Before the chain of dogs formed, we were sent to go investigate his tomb and clear it out for an exhibition.
He kind of nods and he's quiet for a second, like he's thinking about what you said. He says, "All right, I see. Well, I mean, to truly understand what happened between Mumos Vindias, who would later become our first and last, Misetsu, his exalted vizier, and Corinthantulus, his mage general, we kind of have to go back to the arrival of my people. At that time, we were called the Ling here on Ur. During the destruction of Eden, the Ascended managed to save a few thousand survivors from the onslaught that was devouring our homeworld, and they brought us here, and they dropped us in a..." And he kind of looks at Arteme. He says, "Pardon me, Lady Arteme, I'm just repeating what the ancient texts recount. I'm not saying these are necessarily the truth of things, but they dropped us in a largely uninhabited part of Ur, wide open fields, lush forests, a paradise that was in sharp contrast to the dying world that we left behind. But there were, of course, a few sparse tribes of native peoples there. Elves mostly. There were some dwarves, some Yogg, some orcs, and other various, again, pardon me, uncivilized cultures. The conflict amongst my people began almost immediately when we landed on the plains around what is now Mist. The disparate groups of humanity who had been pulled from all over our dying world, different societies, different languages, different appearances, everything. None could agree on what we should do. Should we build fortifications and try to live as one people in culture, or should we spread out and try to take the lands from the native peoples to afford enough room for our own differing ways of life? Mumos Vindias at that time was, by all accounts, a ne'er-do-well. Some records say he was a thief and a swindler. Other more polite renditions depict him as like a low-born farmer. But universally, all records note him as a somewhat arrogant but charismatic leader. Within days of us landing, he had convinced the bickering camps of thought to come to the table and talk it out. And with the help of a revered teacher, Misetsu, Mumos had managed to set up a communication structure that allowed our people to discuss our future, despite our very few individuals being able to speak the same language. Over time, this shared language became Vindian, after his own name, even though the language that had largely been crafted by Misetsu, Mumos took full credit. Within weeks, it was agreed that our people would spread out. As mentioned, the surrounding lands were largely uninhabited, according to our histories. Of course, the native peoples that lived there would disagree, and rightly so. And he's kind of looking at Arteme when he says this.
I would just shrug at him. Depending on the society, a theoretical word, some uncivilized for some would be a society for others.
I don't disagree, and I wouldn't argue that one bit. You're 100% correct. Like I said, this is just what... okay, Justin. This is just what our histories recount.
I would just nod.
I mean, all due respect, of course, with this. This is not saying the truths of things. This is just what our history says. But this expansion, of course, as you know, known as the Sacred Progressions, was ordered by Mumos. But it was truly led by his fiercely loyal Mage General Corinthantulus. It is during this time that the Mage General earned his moniker, the Rope, because countless thousands, probably even millions of elves, dwarves, and other natives were displaced or killed. There are many famous mournful paintings and other art that show gallows trees filled with hanging bodies of non-humans, and you've all seen these kinds of paintings before. just basically giant oaks and trees that have been stripped of branch or stripped of leaves, but just 10, 15 bodies hanging from them. Like gallery. Back, Justin.
I'm back.
Yep. And he continues. He says, as you all know, humans procreate rapidly. To afford that population explosion, Mumos would order the annexation of the area, deplete the resources, build sprawling cities and roads and commerce, and then decided that we needed more room. And a new sacred progression would begin to annex the next region, and the next, and the next. There was almost no resistance when Mumos crowned himself our first and last king. And although dissent was growing for constant expansionists against these sacred progressions, Mumos' charismatic persuasion always managed to lay the blame squarely at the feet of his exalted vizier Mesetsu. And this all continued the first half of the century of Ling's expansion on Earth until 54 DE, when our first and last king was murdered. It is still argued by historians who truly was responsible for Mumos' death, but at that time nearly every finger pointed to Mesetsu. Most agree that tired of being blamed for Mumos' abhorrent behaviors, Mesetsu used his network of necromancers and assassins to have Mumos killed and his spirit torn to pieces. This, of course, did not go over well with his loyal mage general. Corazantilus flew into a rage, and with his control over the Vindian armies, he had every known associate of the exalted vizier arrested and put to death. But Mesetsu himself had already fled south, escaping to Corazantilus' wrath. And then, being the ever-loyal servant, racked by guilt that he had failed to protect his king, the mage general set about returning Mumos to life. But despite his vast knowledge of the arcane arts, Corazantilus lacked the ability to tap into the worlds that possessed such magics. So he studied and sacrificed, and in the end, he transferred his own life. He became a lich, so that he could harness the power to resurrect his fallen leader. Only once doing so, this is where the answer to your question comes in, he found that his king was unwilling to return. Mumos' soul had been shredded, and unable to find Crow's Thicket, Mumos was lost in the Shadow Realm of Sorcanel, where he bided his time and used his legendary cult of personality to ascend and become the head of High House Shadow, where his face is now visible on the deck of Doctrines. And that's that.
Did you get all that?
I got a lot of that, except towards the end.
I feel like I'm in one of those lecture classes back in college where I'm just frantically trying to write stuff down.
Yes.
Well, for real, this is literally a historian, an imperial historian, kind of giving that lecture that Sarah had asked for. So it's good that it felt like that, because that's essentially what it was.
Can we get a KISS version written down of that? I did not get all that charge.
That would be awesome.
Sure. So I'll type up a short version, but basically what he was saying is when humans were originally called Ling in their native language, the language before they came here were called Ling. And when they came here, there were just basically a bunch of different individual tribes, and they were all arguing, and they couldn't communicate because they all came from different cultures on the original planet that they came from, right? Well, to unify them, Mumos kind of unified them under one banner by getting Mesetsu to create a language that everybody could share. They did that, able to communicate, then started the sacred progressions, like the Crusades, where they wiped out all of the surrounding people and killed them all, and then built cities all over, which is how humans expanded all over, with the help of the Ascendant. After expanding, Corazantilus was the loyal general of Mumos, and eventually the king Mumos was killed. And it was, everybody believed that Mesetsu had him assassinated, that Mesetsu, who he'd kind of blamed this entire time for those sacred progressions, he'd been putting all that blame on, saying that the advisors told me to do it. So the king was assassinated. Everybody blamed the vizier. Corazantilus also blamed the vizier, so gathered up all of Mesetsu's people, had them murdered. Mesetsu escaped. He ran south to Babi, what is now Babi. The king was still dead. Corazantilus, over time, was trying to resurrect him because he felt like he failed his god, or failed his king rather. Became a lich to try to have enough power to be able to resurrect Mumos, and then when he tried to do it, found out that Mumos wouldn't come back. He chose not to. After Corazantilus had sacrificed everything to bring him back.
God, we got a stage 5 clinger over here.
So that's I'll try to put together like a brief synopsis that I can throw in Discord for you guys too.
Thank you. It is just a lot of info.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but a lot of info.
He got literally ghosted.
Pretty much, yeah. So, but those answers are more what Sarah was looking for specifically. So not that anybody else necessarily needed to get too much out of that, but those were the motivations. So, but after explaining all of that, he says, "So I imagine you have more questions?"
Actually, not that I can think of off the top of my head. Personally, Sarah has a lot of questions for Corns Angeles, but not for for Quill.
And she's not telling that, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wait, so if you're saying Korean Angeles turned himself into a lich, is he completely
So Ben and Becky know this already. Fox, of course, you weren't in balance. Liches aren't by default crazy and evil in this world.
No, I get that. They have different personalities, so they'd be different. They'd probably be similar to what they were in life. But I'm saying, after trying to resurrect somebody whose soul was torn apart, did that drive him somewhat insane that he couldn't do it? Is what I'm asking.
Quill says it's hard to say. I mean, we don't get a lot of direct communication with Goran Xantilis anymore. I know he still exists. He is, as far as we understand it, he's attempting to ascend. But as for his mental state, I'm afraid I don't have much evidence to one way or the other.
Fair enough.
He's always considered shrewd and extremely intelligent, but as far crazy or not, I really couldn't say.
So dangerous, whether insane or not.
Absolutely, yes. That's a certainty.
Right. This has been absolutely fascinating, and you have answered all of my questions, actually.
He is beaming with pride. It's clear that it's subtle, but he's obviously very proud of himself. You gathered this before, of course, but he's history is his bag, so having the opportunity to orate is something that he appreciated very much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I don't have any other questions, so I mean, if you just want to stay here and drink, that's fine with me.
Well, I mean, I'll enjoy the fire for another 10-15 if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead. You're welcome anytime.
He nods his thanks. And that was Sarah. So are you leaving, or are you staying there to finish drinking everything with him?
I am going to... Do we have, like, bottles of wine in the kitchen or something? I'm assuming
There
we got
are.
these drinks from somewhere.
Yeah, the cellar it is well stocked.
Great. I'm gonna go grab a bottle of wine and go up and find a room.
Okay.
Since I technically haven't done that yet.
In passing through the kitchen to where you found the wine cellar to be, you do see Abraham in there. He says, "Oh, Lady Seraphina, it'll be probably another 15-20 minutes or so. I found some mud."
That's great. I will be back down then.
He's kind of already turned and back to cooking. It smells good. It smells really good. You probably haven't had, let's say proper cooked food in a while, apart from good berries and stuff cooked around a campfire.
What about my cooking on the ship?
Nope, garbage. Absolute garbage.
That was like a week, 5 days ago or something.
That was a bit ago, but even still,
we've been through a lot.
It probably seems like a lot longer than it actually is, but that's still like a kitchen galley isn't quite the same as like a fully equipped actual kitchen. That is also one thing enclosed, and where I don't know if you guys, well, even if you haven't, but anywhere near the ocean, you lose your sense of smell pretty quickly. It's dampened because of all the salt in the air. So like everything smells better and everything when you're kind of not near the ocean. And being in a basement, essentially, like a cellar that is filled with food, probably smells really good.
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
But Sarah, then you make your way up to looking around. It was the room on the south on the second floor, right? I think it was. Oh, I haven't shared you guys the second floor. Let me share that one now, so you guys have that as well.
This place is almost too big.
Yeah, you guys. I mean, you will have, if you can bring other people here, or if you have helpers or anything of that sort, you can always kind of garrison them here. You guys don't necessarily know the mechanics of the place yet, but the Crow Fort, essentially, I'll tell it to you guys as players. When the Crow Fort is moved, this place will stay. They're basically normally it would go with it, but they are kind of taking this one off to give it to you guys, and then they'll just build something new in its place when the Crow Fort comes. Meaning that when they summon the Crow Fort elsewhere, the surrounding place, all the rest of it that is not the Kettle Keep, will all fade into the ground, and it'll fall into the ground and disappear. But your guys' place will stay. So you'll have your own defensible position, but it'll be in the middle of a room keeping on Skathak, which right now is still surrounded by Vavians.
As long as they're not leaving anytime soon.
It does not seem like they're planning on leaving. Maybe you guys screwed here with being surrounded by undead. But that is the room I think that you marked, isn't it, Becky?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. All right, then you make your way up there. There is not a bed in the room initially, but there are bookcases and couches and stuff.
Just sleep on a couch for now. But I'm gonna pull out my scroll.
Okay.
Is there anything on it?
Your telescription scroll, it is still empty.
Yeah.
It was only, let's see. I mean, by now we'll say it's probably about 9 o'clock. So it was 10 hours, probably 12 hours or so ago when he'd written to you this morning.
But it's empty, so that means that he read what I wrote already?
Yes, he did read it. He just hasn't written back yet.
Okay. Then I'm going to... I gotta think about what I want to say, but I'm gonna write him something, so... Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then you curl up on the couch with your books. Your stolen... Well, I say stolen, but you don't know that they there. There wasn't anybody there. There wasn't anybody that was... you don't know that it would be a concern to them that you borrowed a book. You could presumably be intending to return it later. But anyways, you have those books in your scroll to write your message, and we will come back around to Pogo.
So Pogo is probably a few shades to the wind.
Yeah, very much.
And he's now at the bar. What time is it for the day?
About 9 p.m.
Oh, it's so early. So Pogo's gonna eat some food at the bar, and he's going to look around, and he's going to find whoever is probably looks like they'd be a higher ranking among the Crowblinders. Are these just normal soldiers, or are these Crowblinders?
Yeah, you don't see. There could be sergeants mixed among them. Sergeants don't usually have any kind of identifying. Well, not as far as you're aware. Their uniforms are not uniform. They're kind of more based on what it is their job is. It doesn't seem like. It seems
right.
like they mostly.
In that case, if he doesn't see anyone that's obviously of a higher status there, he's going to find whichever table has the most attractive women.
Okay. The tables are pretty full, but you've managed to find a table that has 2 women and 2 men at it.
I'm just going to go ahead and jump up on the edge of the table and introduce myself. Say, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pogo. You may have seen me perform.
Hang on. Before you drunkenly try this, give me an acrobatics check with disadvantage.
Okay. Right.
You're trying to jump your way up onto a table.
Disadvantage. Yeah. Acrobatics. Oh! Wait.
No,
wait.
Hang on. Okay, that's fair. You drop it.
Re-roll with disadvantage? Oh, okay.
You re-roll with disadvantage still, but it was a 1 and a 2.
With disadvantage.
Oh shit, and that was a 1 and a 20. You literally dropped it.
Okay.
You try your best. You are certain that this is destined. This is going to look so badass. And you attempt to jump up to the chair beside the table to leap off of it with 1 foot. But unfortunately, that foot that you jump up to the chair, just trying to hit on the side of the chair, not the person's leg, you end up stomping on this woman's leg and flipping backwards off of it, landing mostly on your neck. Your neck kind of breaks your fall on the floor. Still, everybody around you just kind of cheering and laughing and chuckling. One of the
I'm glad you continue to enjoy the act that I've been doing this evening. Still an act.
That was obvious on purpose.
So I'm gonna quickly stand up and then put my arm on the table instead at about. I guess it's supposed to be about at neck height.
Yeah.
So thought I'd come by and see how everyone's doing. Did you know that we might be meeting the Emperor? Did you know that? We're gonna go and we're gonna probably meet the Emperor, and we are going to convince him to help everyone here out even more, and we're going to save this whole situation. This whole situation is going to get saved. That's what's going to happen. What do you think about that?
The man that helped you up, he says, "Well, good luck with that. I mean, if anybody can do it, I believe it might be you, little Gleeman. But that man's a coward. I don't mind saying so, especially now that the commander's kind of been public about our grievances."
You know what? I appreciate that. That's the attitude you have. Thanks for staying, helping all these fine people out. Speaking of him, being a coward, what else do you know about him? Is there something else that might help us in our discussion with the Emperor? Any of you? Even if they're rumors, I don't mind hearing them.
The man looks around the table. He says, "I mean, not me so much, but Sierra over here." He says, "S-I-R-A." I realize it sounds like Sarah a bit now that I said it from my notes. But anyways, he says, "Sierra over here used to work in the city. What would you remember anything of it?" And she says, "Well, I mean, Caius himself. To be honest, I always found him a bit spineless. But his assistant, his advisor, she was always a tough one. To be honest, I think she probably runs more things than he does, and maybe he just kind of follows orders. I don't know. And that would be traitorous to stay inside the borders of the Empire. But since we're all kind of outlaws now anyway, fuck it."
I am pretty sure, and if you know what, maybe we can change that. That's our goal. I mean, don't know if we can, but we'll try our best. We've had pretty good luck so far. We killed one of those giants yesterday, or earlier today.
She grins. She says, "Oh, I saw. I was watching from the ramparts."
You know, Sierra, in my native land, you know what your name means? It means beautiful eyes. It's a coincidence. It's crazy.
She chuckles. She says, "Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of bullshit, but I appreciate it anyways." Yeah. She would know what her own name means. It would be,
Sure.
It would be kind of a thing to not bother rolling on. But
all right. Well, do you guys know the name of this advisor to the Emperor?
His advisor.
Sure.
Her name. Hang on, I gotta go through my notes. Was Zimra.
Zimra.
Yep.
Do you know that Zimra means beautiful eyes in my native language?
The whole table is chuckling and laughing at you.
Oh, Zimra. Anyone else had any ideas about this here Emperor that decided to ban us all traitors?
Well, I don't know that this is the other man talking, not the one that helped you up. I don't think it was really the Emperor, to be honest. I feel like the commander may have been leaping a little unpreparedly, but I'm not gonna stop following him now. He's really led us this whole way. The Emperor or the commander didn't maybe give him enough time to explain why we needed to stay. That's all.
Yeah, the world is full of somewhat disappointments. We just have to do our best through them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go grab myself another drink. Sierra, can I get you anything?
She just lifts her tankard that she sold. She says, "I'm good, but would appreciate it, Gleeman."
All right, I'm gonna go have one more drink at the bar. And no, yeah, I'm just gonna go up to the bar. I probably would have looked around for Norak, but I'm busy.
Sure. What is Norak doing?
All right, I'm going to go see if I can find Rick and Sorsha, if they're in the same place they were before, because they were in the back room here, weren't they?
Yeah, they were in the back room behind the tavern area.
Yeah,
you head in there. Rook is actually it looks like she's cooking. She's basically preparing something that looks like. And Sorsha's just sitting there, like hands in her lap.
All right, I'm gonna go in and tell Rook thank you again for watching after her, and then I'm going to. Go ahead.
It's no problem at all. I mean, I was really getting concerned, which is why I started getting to work anyways. But yeah, she really was not much of a problem. She's obviously not much of a talker, though it might have been a little bit on the boring side.
Yep, that's true. But again, thank you. Appreciate that. So I will get her out of your hair so you can continue your work.
She says, I mean, she's going to need, like we mentioned earlier, she's definitely going to need some help, if you can get those wounds looked at. But, if you need food or clothing or something for her, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you again.
Sorsha stands up when she can hear you. She understands. Rook is like not talking to her. It's like she feels awkward around her. The way that somebody might feel awkward around, let's say,
Pogo.
no, not in that sense, because Pogo can communicate. I would say, like, you know how some people might be awkward or not know how to, or even attempt to try to communicate with somebody with like autism or Down syndrome or something like that. It's kind of like that. That's almost like she's not trying to be rude. She just doesn't know how to try to communicate, and that makes it very awkward. And so it's clear that it feels awkward to her. And Sorsha is a perfectly intelligent humanoid. She's just not able to talk at all. So, anyways, that was the impression you got. So, but she heard you just fine. So she stands up and kind of reaches for your arm very, like, cautiously, timidly, like she wants, like she's, expecting you to lead her to wherever it is you guys are going.
All right, then I will take her, and then we will sneak out. And if it looks like there's too many people in the way, I'll take my cloak out and let her put it over herself, so that way she's not as noticeable.
Okay.
And then we will sneak her out and I'll take her back to the Kennel Keep.
Sure.
So that way she can see the new digs.
Yeah, once you throw your cloak over her, you don't even draw any eyes. She still doesn't smell good, but these are a bunch of soldiers that haven't bathed after a pretty heavy battle. So a lot of bad smells all around anyway. And she's at least had one bath, which is more than they've had. So you don't really draw any eyes. You make your way crunching through the snow all the way back to the side where the Kettle Keep is. And on entering, you see Quill. You know him, of course, because you guys went through the subterranean together. Is exiting. He's coming out of the front of the keep, like heading towards the gate. Says, Norok, wasn't it?
Yeah. How you doing?
I see you're bringing a lady friend back. And he's kind of covering his mouth a little bit because it's she doesn't smell good, and then you're like not near other soldiers now. Let me get out of your hair, and he kind of just scurries by, like, out the door behind you.
I'll just wave. Carry on.
It was clear that he had a certain impression that is not necessarily what's going on here, but maybe like smell bad or something. He doesn't know. But he scurries off on his way as you make your way through the gate. There's a smell coming from down below. It's because you haven't smelled cooked meat of this kind. Other than being inside the tavern, I suppose, which is not really easy to do. But you're smelling like cooked meat from the inside of the keep somewhere.
All right. Well, I'm gonna again follow my nose every time I smell food and see where that is coming from.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming it's Pogo because I know Pogo's at the tavern, so I'm assuming it's one of the ladies because I don't know that Abraham's here because I haven't been back, right? Yeah. Yep. So I'm just gonna so that way I can go say hi and let them know that I'm back with Sorsha, so that way they don't get surprised if they see her.
Sure. Well, you make your way through the main, like the Great Hall, essentially, just right ahead in the courtyard, and then down some stairs. And there's an old man cooking in this kitchen. Like the fireplace is lit. It smells like mutton, and there's bread that's cooking.
Okay.
He looks up. He says, you're the Yogg, right? Norok, I believe, was your name.
Yeah, and normally intruders in the house are a problem, but not when they cook. So you must not be trying to steal anything. So may I ask who you are?
Yeah, I'd shake your hand. He kind of holds his hands up, but they're messy cooking. He says, I was sent here. The commander asked me to help take care of the place. I met Lady Arteme and Lady Sarah, and they just asked if I would, prep some dinner. So, if you're hungry, I'll have something ready to go here in a few more minutes.
Oh,
your lady friend here, and she's like covered in wounds and still quite gross.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. And he didn't know my name yet, right? So I'll introduce myself. I'm Norok, and you are? Because they just said Yogg, right? He didn't say my name.
Well, he said you're the Yogg Norok, aren't you?
Oh, okay.
You guys are.
So, I'll still say nice to officially meet you, even though can't shake his hand because it's dirty, but catch his name.
Of course. I'll be around, so if you need help, with cooking, cleaning, anything of that sort, I'll be here to kind of take care of the place while you guys are out doing whatever business it is you have to take care of.
All right, well, thank you.
Do you find a place for Sorsha?
Yeah, I'm going to go find a place for her, not, far from whatever room I apparently claim, whichever one seems to be the most spacious. Doesn't have stuff in it already.
Okay. Well, you can look over the maps later. I put them in Discord. Just find the room that you want, and I'll mark them on the map for you guys, and then find where you're going to put Sorsha. For now, at least. All right, then. What is? I guess Arteme. Are you? Quill has left So you and Sarah there. Well, actually, Sarah, sorry, left as well. So what does Artemis up to?
I'm probably just gonna wait. You said Sarah had found a library earlier, right?
She not a library. She found a room with bookshelves, which is the room that she claimed for her own.
Okay. I'm gonna ask her if I could find any books on medicine to study up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. She found a library in the central keep, not in the kettle keep, not your guys' house, but she found a library in the keep. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask her if I could check her room for any medical books, and then or for books that for like the region.
There weren't any books. Yeah, there's bookshelves, but they were emptied out.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go to the library then and look.
Okay. Sarah gives you directions on where to find it. Go ahead and give me an investigation check. Okay. As soon as you step in, you have kind of a general idea of where, based on the spines of books that you're familiar with, you find these spines that you are familiar with anyways, and that kind of leads you in the area you're looking for. The book you find is really anatomy, and it's mostly human anatomy, but it's pretty similar amongst most of the humanoid species except Yogg. Yogg anatomy is quite different. But anyways, you find a book on anatomy, which is really not intentionally a medicine book, but it's about the closest you're going to find here.
Okay.
But it's enough that you can certainly begin studying it that way. So, and then, are you heading back to the keep afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. On your way, as soon as you're kind of crossing out of the central keep, you find Ozzy in the courtyard, and it's getting pretty late now. It's probably 9:30 or so at this point. He says, "Oh, Lady Artemis, did you guys have time to kind of figure out what your next steps are? I know you guys said that you're willing to help. Do you have an idea of where it is that you want to go?"
I would just look at him and say I'm going back to my homeland to look for the arc thing.
That was what I was hoping. I was hoping you would say that. Have you discussed it amongst your group?
I'd rather not take anybody. It'd be safer for them that way.
Is this because you're going on vacation for a couple months, or what?
He says it most certainly would not be safer that way. You're definitely going to need someone to watch your back. You just standing there quietly?
I'd be like, yes and no, considering elves don't take too kindly to outside.
Remember, I can make myself look like a very small elf.
He says, well, just take some time to think on it, but I would very much caution against splitting up. You're going to need each other's help.
I would just be waiting for the first game where she goes off on her own, and then he splits between us, and then after 12 minutes, okay, so she's gonna roll a new character.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's the risk of going off as an individual, even not even have this party split down the middle. But there's two parts of it. One, survival would be very difficult, I guess, for an individual character, is how I put that. But regardless, even then, I kind of I just wouldn't have time to run two separate campaigns. You guys would need to agree on one or the other. Just because splitting the party for individual sessions is one thing, but this isn't a half of a session kind of a thing. Whichever one you guys choose to go for, you're going to be there probably for a little while. It doesn't mean that you can't do both. You would just need to decide essentially one first and then the other. But it's up to you which ones you guys want to do, or even neither. You guys can just go somewhere, do whatever you guys want, but you'll kind of need to be together for it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Ozzy just says, well, I mean, just think on it. If you guys can, if you can, let us know or where you have an idea of where you want to go tonight, then that would be ideal, just because I'll have time to kind of plan, our best bet of where I can send you, where the safest place to send you is, and prepare whatever research and investigation we may need to give you the best steps when you get there.
Sure.
And he just kind of steps back into the central keep. So if you're heading back then to the kettle keep, You guys, remember, you guys can come up with a name for it as well if you want, but or you can just call it the Kettle Keep. I don't care.
Dude, it's been like an hour. Give our team a minute.
Time-wise, it's been a little longer. I don't want you guys getting bored either necessarily. I'm just bouncing around like doing like a shopping episode. Like, you guys know what a shopping episode is?
I'm enjoying this episode.
Okay, as long as you guys are having
learning,
fun
I'm
with it,
learning about the Emperor's right-hand woman who's apparently calling the shots.
She is
Some
widely
important
regarded as like an
information.
absolute like icy bitch too. Like that's everybody. And it seems like the impression that you got, by the way, in having talked to the Crowblinders, is that the Emperor is often thought of as a coward, but not necessarily a bad guy, just a coward that lets his advisor, in this case, this woman Zimra, speak for him, and he's just doing what she tells him to do. And she's a bitch. That's what everybody said. Anyways, so as long as you guys are enjoying it, that's fine. I just don't want you being too bored, with an interstitial style episode. Anyways, with that rambling out of the way there, then what is Sarah up to?
Alright, so I figured out what I'm writing.
Okay.
So what I'm writing is...
I'm gonna type. Do me a favor. If you,
Send it.
because I want it recorded as well, because I keep notes of all of this stuff. So you can put it. You can go ahead and say it out loud if you want to read it. If you already have it written, just type it up in Discord for me later.
Okay, yeah, I've got it written in a notes section on my phone, so I'll just read it out and then send it to you after the game.
Yep.
Alright, so obviously it'll have his name at the top, and then I am sure, since you have been keeping an eye on me, that you're aware that Masetsu has risen. Do you plan on confronting him? I also have a question that I'm guessing you won't answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. You said you want to throw down the tyrant. Have you completely given up on Lumos? And then at the bottom, I'll sign it, your apprentice, Sarah.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, as you know, the procedures thus far is not an instant response, so you don't expect him to necessarily reflect immediately. But we'll get to that when he does, or next time you check the note and there's something on it.
And then I'm gonna leave the bottle of wine that I took in my room, and then I'm going down to go get dinner.
Okay. When you make your way down there, by now it's done. In fact, Abraham has the it's what would be a great hall. So if you guys look at your first floor, it's this room right here. It's essentially a great hall, and he's already filled 3 spots at the table. You can tell that he doesn't know how many are going to be there, because there's 8 places. Like, he just took a guess, and there's 8 places that he has set up, like with plates and everything. But he's filled 3 of them with mutton and bread and some kind of a vegetable that you don't recognize. That looks like it's been stewed. But basically, it smells great. There's tankards set in 3 places that are already filled, and he's going back down the stairs as you come into the room to apparently go get more and come back up to refill the other places.
Nobody else is in there?
Not yet. Nobody else has said they're coming to dinner yet.
I'm just gonna go sit down and start eating, because by now I'm guessing I'm starving.
Almost certainly would be, yeah. Okay. Then Sarah's sitting down to eat. Pogo's still at the... Did Pogo leave, or is he still at the tavern?
Pogo's still at the tavern. He got his other beer. He's still just drinking, hanging out, and he's going to be chit-chatting with that table for the increment of time in the middle. And I think it's probably about late enough in the evening. He's going to invite the table back to Kettle Keep. I know we've got bathtubs, and we've got cheese in the bathtub room. There's probably other fun things. I haven't really looked around. I've got a bed, which is better than I've had for a few weeks. Got a bit British there.
make a persuasion check with disadvantage. I think the drunkenness is past the point of being because you're so sloshed and haven't eaten and so on. I think it's past the point of helping you.
I ate some whatchamacallit, some deep fried something at the bar. I ate whatever they were serving.
Okay. A bowl of peanut or a bowl of pretzels.
But I'm definitely not sober.
With the modifier is ridiculous, of course, on that. So, with as well as you rolled, you're still fine. One of the girls and both of the guys say that, sure. They look at each other. Sure, we might as well. I've always wanted to see the
just
anyway.
Those 3? Anyone else want to come by?
Are you shouting to the entire
I'm shouting town? Within about 15 feet. Anyone want to come to Kettle Keep and have a drink?
When you shout this, you feel a very heavy, thud on the top of your head, enough that you're like instantly have a headache from it, like hard on the top of your head, something slamming down the top of your head, and you feel fingers clutching the sides of your skull and rotating your head around backwards to face whatever this is. And you look up with your head kind of being crunched almost like a basketball in the giant hand of the Mio Tao that you saw before. And he's standing there holding a knife in his other hand.
Have a drink.
This is the same one that mussed your hair with the soot, and your recently bathed head is again covered in soot. Now still covered in hair, like instantly filled with this soot. As he rotates you around to force you to look at him, kind of tilts your head back, and he's holding a knife in his other hand, and he kind of moves his hand towards you and then flips it over towards where the handle is pointing towards you. He says, "You didn't come and get this, and I've got to go to bed."
I'm still. Come get a drink with me, you big, beautiful bull man.
He takes it. I've got work in the morning. Come see me tomorrow.
All right. Love you.
He kind of pushes you backwards with his sooty hand. Just pushes you like not enough to stumble you, but enough to just push you backwards. Like for him, it's an insignificant, subtle motion as he turns and kind of snorts.
All right, I'm bringing everyone back to Kettle Keep to have some more ale. It's plenty big enough for everyone. Let's have some fun.
All right, so the three that you've managed to bring along with you, Sierra and both the men that you don't know the names of, are making your way back to the...
What's their names, by the way, gentlemen?
One is Andron, Arndon, and the other was Solomon.
Oh! You know, in my native land, that means beautiful eyes. Come on, let's go have some fun.
They are certainly drunk. They're just not quite as drunk as you, but they are laughing and having a good time.
So I'm going to bring them to Kettle Keep, and I'm going to poke around. Do any of you guys know where the main eating hall area would be here? Any of you? Any three of you?
And they're looking amongst each other. We've never been.
Oh, we'll find it. Come on! And then we'll go.
As soon as you step in through the main door, the kind of front gate, you can smell and hear. Well, actually, it's only Sarah eating, so you can't hear it yet. But you can smell it coming from like directly across the way. On your main map, it's basically from the front gate to that door. It's pretty clear.
Fantastic.
Coming from.
So we're gonna walk in there, and
Sarah,
you
hear before you see this. You hear Pogo.
Oh, I'm singing. I'm gonna be singing a song. Yes, on the way. Different song though. It's
singing, yeah.
Some say that kissing's a sin, but tell me how can that be true? For kissing has been in this world since the very first day there was two.
At this point, when I hear him singing, I'm downing half my ale.
You're gonna have to get drunk to deal with a drunk Pogo.
Yep.
But he comes. He kind of pushes the door open, letting this cold breeze blow in. Like the fire flickers, the smell starts to exit out, but it's just freezing fucking cold. Like very not rudely, but unaware of that would be rude, basically, like ignorant of how rude that is. Kind of holding this door open for his friends to walk through. Where these three other soldiers, you've seen them before, come stumbling in through the door, also drunk, just not quite as sloshed as him. And the woman says, "Oh, Lady Sarah, right? Do you mind if we have a seat and enjoy some dinner with you?"
No, go right ahead.
I'm still singing my song. And is the other gentleman in this room?
The old man, no.
The old man? All right. So, help yourself. Let's see if we can find some more, maybe some mead or some ale or some wine. Wine sounds good as an evening drink.
As the four of you are sitting down with Sarah, he comes back up the stairs, and he's holding a platter with food on it, bringing up more to fill up the other plates. So he comes up anyway, says, "Oh, visitors. I didn't know how many we would have tonight, so I set out 8. Do we need more than that? Should I set up more places?"
I think this will be fine. We've had a long day. It's been a bit of the downs and the ups, but you know what? This is. Who are you? Who are you, sir?
Oh, my name is Abraham. I was asked by the commander to kind of take care of the place for you.
Oh, you came with the house. Fantastic. You should make yourself comfortable. There's more rooms than I know what to do with. Have you had a bath in the cheese room yet? It's fantastic.
You guys are gonna keep calling the bathroom the cheese room?
Pogo's pretty excited. So Pogo is going to sit there, and I think it's going to be a little bit more quiet, and he's going to relax. He's going to talk to these soldiers. He's going to find out about their days and their lives, and the days of our lives. And what time is it?
That's a play that they've seen, right?
Exactly. Have you seen the Day of Their Lives play?
It's probably
gone on forever. It's too long, if you ask me.
about 9:30 at this point.
So he's going to chit-chat, and he's going to flirt, and he's going to slowly drink his wine, and eat some food, and he's going to try to sober up a bit. What time is it in the game?
I literally just said it.
Oh, I wasn't.
9:30. Are you,
sorry,
are you
9:30?
pretending to be
Alright.
drunk enough that you're like Aneber, acting drunk enough that you're actually
So
drunk?
I am going. I'm going to go ahead and try to just keep everyone entertained, and I'd like to ask Sarah to stay and enjoy some drinks and some stories, and ask her what she thinks about our next plan. And you know what? I'm going to also get these soldiers, while we're talking about the options we have, see if the soldiers have any input as to what we might be doing, what Serafina might think about this, whether we should try to go to the elven homes and find something that will help maybe, or if we should maybe try to convince the king and his associates, or the emperor and his associates, that we need to provide more help to the crowblinders and these people that may serve, in my opinion, as more of a strength than necessarily helping maybe right now.
Well, for purely selfish reasons, I want to go to the capital. But
What are those selfish reasons?
I have a test to take. But I'm
Like a
hoping
driver's test?
No. But I'm hoping
Like
that
a
if
like
we
a
go...
is it like a STD test?
He's definitely acting drunk pretty well. So.
Yeah, no.
All right, that's good. Woo! He wipes his forehead.
But I'm hoping that if we go and we help Maeve first, and she can do whatever it is she's gonna do, that we can use that to our advantage before we go talk to the king.
I don't think anyone's saying that won't be an advantage, but I don't know if it will be enough to worthy the risk. I feel like right now maybe we need to just try to get the people. I mean, I think maybe we need to find a few more details. I'm thinking we need to figure out how long will the fort last in its current way, the current situation it's in, and then maybe find out how long it might take us to go to this elfin land and
Sierra
do what we're
interrupts.
supposed to do.
When you're kind of meandering through that, Sierra interrupts. She says, "By fort, you mean the Crow Fort?
Die?
Oh, it doesn't. It'll last. It doesn't have an expiration date.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
but-
you, Sarah, is it
Yeah, that'll
Go
get quick.
Sarah? Thank you,
Especially
Sarah,
when Pogo's drunk.
for letting me know. The good news is this is normal. This is how it is.
Solomon says, "Yeah, it doesn't." Were you thinking that it was gonna like break or something? It doesn't.
No, I was worried that it was gonna disappear back into the ground from whence it came so suddenly.
No,
I know I know
it'll
they're keeping some
sum it
sort of magic, just keeping going, and I wasn't sure if it would last.
Oh, the portal? No, that's just to keep it cold. We're just trying to keep the enemy away.
I mean, maybe we should make sure that the commanders think that this can keep the enemy away long enough for us to do what we need to do. This might be a smart first decision for us. Because if we're going to be on any kind of timeline, we should probably get these people out first. And if we're not on a timeline, then we can go ahead and take care of maybe get that figured out first.
Yeah,
I'm
Solomon-
honestly...
He says, I won't speak for the commander, but this is the first time that we've kept it chilly around here, and it doesn't really have an expiration. We can keep this going as long as we need to. We've got the
Well,
best
that's
mate
good.
in the cadre.
See, aren't you glad I brought people back home with us? These are some smart, impressive, and her a beautiful person.
I'm actually very surprised, yes. But I
The first
understand
night at your guys' new place, and he brings drunken idiots home.
Hey, they're not, these people are helping us out.
I am not surprised. I can honestly say I'm not surprised to that. But then again, I'm not there, so I'm happy about that too.
I was going to say,
Some say that swearing's a sin.
Since this is going on for a while, Arteme, you would have returned by now from the library with the book on medicine, or with the
Arteme!
Yeah,
Well,
with
My
the books.
favorite elf!
comes through the front gate. In the courtyard, you can hear a little bit too loud Pogo and people shouting like drunkenly, a little too loud, or a little louder than would be necessary, let's say, coming from across the courtyard over here. In the room, but you can smell food though. You know that Abraham is cooking, so you can smell the food in there.
Okay, I guess I'll go in and eat.
Well, I'll put you on the map. You can place yourself wherever you want, but there's table settings on both sides of the tables there. There's 3 that are still open, but there are 3 people you don't recognize. Well, 3 pro blenders you've seen before, but don't necessarily know the names of. A man and 2 men and a woman rather, and then Sarah and Pogo talking.
Which map is this on? Because I have 2 of them up and I'm not on the...
First floor. I'll drop it on there for you.
Oh, I have 3rd and 2nd floor up. I don't have 1st.
I just dropped it on you.
Thank you.
There are so many floors.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys don't have to keep multiple maps open. You can always close them, and then if you want to open an individual one, click the image button on the right, and then you can find the map you're looking for.
Yeah.
So did you come into the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey! And Pogo's gonna make a big deal. Yay, my favorite elf! Are you gonna drink with us?
I'll pass, thanks.
Oh! Boo! I'm gonna get
I'm just gonna look at her with pleading eyes and be like, "You should really sit down and have a talk. We need to figure out where
We
we're going."
need to figure it out. Where's the big man? Does anyone know where the big man is?
Well, it's funny you say that, because by then Norok has come through the front with Sorsha and found her a room anyways. But the Norok, you drop her off in the keep. Sorsha dropped her off in the keep. You can still hear the revelry.
I'd probably be yelling too, like, "Norok! Oh, you big bastard!"
You heading up to join them, G?
Yeah, I would have been heading up that way anyway, because he was thinking, it's about time for food. Because he just, got done talking to Abraham. So, or did that happen yet? It must have.
Well, no, that would have been, yeah. But
yeah. So I would have been going to get food anyway. But once I heard them, I would have been like, "What the hell is the fucking? What is he, Pogo, yelling about?" I would assume he's drunk since he got back from the tavern. But we're gonna check on him, see if he didn't hurt himself or something. So.
All right, you guys are all in the great hall then, with the 3 crow blinders, able to continue your discussion.
Norok, this big man. So, we all have a decision to make. Andron, Solomon, Sierra. You guys, if you're curious, feel free to lend your input. We already learned that this fort is stable. So as far as the time frame's concerned, that's not as much of a big deal. So are we gonna go try to convince the Emperor? Or are we gonna go try to help maybe by going to the Elfenland?
Well, the fort is stable, but what about the people inside? How long are they going to be able to last? Because there's a lot of people that need medical help.
Well, those are the people we're trying to get out. Andron, Solomon, Sierra? What do you guys think?
The healers, I think we're okay. I mean, we had enough mages here, and like I said, or as Solomon said, our mages are the best in the cadre, so they'll be okay.
Best in the cadre.
The mages aren't. Now that the mages aren't busy having to summon the Crow Fort, they can spend their time, doing their normal jobs, which is generally taking care of our wounded. So, we'll be in tip-top shape in no time.
Well, that's one problem solved.
Yeah, we've got food. We have, the capability to heal the wounded, take care of the refugees. We have enough, beds to support everybody. We'll be okay here. We just, we can't stay here forever. The Legion will eventually, attack in fuller force, and we can keep them back with the ice as long as we can. But if they decide to attack en masse, or with some means of nullifying or getting them cold here, could be in trouble. So can't stay forever, but we're okay for now.
So we also got to remember, I think that they're looking for those scales, and these bad guys are probably trying to bring back that one beastie, the one we were talking to the halfling about, the scales that they were going to get. We got to keep that in mind too, because that sounds like a real bummer.
Kira says, "You mean Sec?"
Do I mean Sec?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sec. She's a smart one. I like this girl. You're very smart, very pretty, and you're very smart, and you're very pretty. So we have that.
So good at
I
playing
don't
or
know
pretending to be drunk.
If that's something to consider. So if we go and we get to the Elven Land, and then we go and we get what we need to get to help Maibi, what is that end goal? Do we think she's gonna have some extra other way of helping us, or helping this entire group out, or are we just doing this to help her?
They don't know.
Oh, I mean, I'm
They don't-
talking
they
to
don't
the
know what you're talking about.
the whole group. No one, no rock.
No, Sierra, Andron, and Solomon don't know.
Oh yeah, this is maybe is a girl that's a woman, a mage. She's very powerful, and unfortunately, she's not a casualty of these last few days. But she's been hurt very badly. So we're trying to help her out, and we're just trying to figure out what the best course of action is.
Well, if we're not on a time limit, if we can get Ascending Stone from Pepperjack again, then we can go and try and do this, and if something happens, then he can let us know, and we can just drop it if we don't have it, and go to the capital.
Solomon says, not to interject or anything, but I did hear Strings. I was in Strings' squad before he was promoted. We'll see how long that lasts.
Oh, that's right. I met him.
Yeah. He's not so happy about that. So
He's not at all.
To be honest, I mean, he deserves it, and he should be up there. We're all very proud of him, but he'll probably, punch the wrong person and get himself promoted before long. It's happened before. But anyway,
I like him.
he mentioned earlier, though, that the commander was pulling everyone's sending stones. I don't know if that's for you guys or not, but I mean, it could be. It sounds like it lines up with what you were saying.
Well, shite. So what do you think, Arteme? I know this is more your land. Do you think it's... And you guys are all much better friends and acquaintances with Maibi than I am. I don't have much of a dog in that fate. She seems like a nice enough person, and I know she was helping everyone out. But I feel like maybe the Emperor's someone we need to convince, because otherwise these crowblinders and these soldiers and all these people that we fought so hard to help might be up the creek.
Real quick, do you guys all understand the specifics of what each mission means?
One mission means convincing a cowardly human to try and help by re-putting the thing, and the other one is finding an art to try and help by AB, which could most likely help the rest of the group at the same time.
I just think convincing a cowardly human to do anything is a much easier option. But remember, we got to deal with Zimra.
Yeah, so that's the cowardly human you're talking about is the Emperor. Like, you guys
Yeah.
don't necessarily have an easy way to get to him, and even then, that may not be your goal isn't necessarily to convince him. Your real goal is to get the teleportation circle re-enabled.
Exactly.
Which
So we can...
Whatever that means. They just
It
mentioned
doesn't-
2 possible ways you can do that.
we can... So
it's either the
we
Emperor
can-
or the Mage Conjure.
Well, get them re-enabled, period. They just said that the two ways that you might do that is potentially by convincing the mage cadre to disobey the Emperor, or convince the Emperor to tell them to do it. But the end result is that if you go that route, the idea being that you can get the circles enabled, which you guys could use to evict everyone or get everybody out of the Crow Fort here and somewhere else where they could be safe. The other mission, the end result would be preventing the war altogether, by the end result being to assassinate the people responsible for it that are in Babby, so that there would no longer be a threat of war at all.
But that would-
Honestly, I'd rather do that instead of trying to deal with it too much more.
But is that like a guarantee? Because isn't that us first trying to find a way to help Maibi, and then after Maibi's helped, maybe finding a way to assassinate the leaders of the Babian Legion. I feel like it's a big stretch between B and C, but
I mean, as far as a DM answer, neither are guaranteed, of course, but from what Norok, Sarah, and Arteme know, they do know that Maivi belongs to a secret organization that is specifically for spies. She's like a spy master, specifically for people in and out of Babian the country, like the leadership of the country.
Are they telling me that? Are you guys telling me that she's...
I wouldn't say that in front of other people, so not at the moment, no.
Pogo was present when Arteme, or when Ozzy mentioned the Sirocco, and that's what it is. Now, Pogo wouldn't necessarily know what the Sirocco is, but that's the group that I'm talking about. You guys know that Ozzy also belongs to that group.
Honestly, I'd prefer going for an assassination attempt to prevent the whole freaking war than try and go and deal with too many humans.
All right. Well, I mean, you know what they say about Pogo. He really puts the ass in assassination, and then he's gonna wink.
I think there's probably a groan amongst everyone.
I'm gonna turn around and be like, "That was funny." All right. And then I'm gonna turn around to the other group, and I'm gonna tell them another joke. By the way, this is a joke that I actually came up with. What's the difference between a choking fetish and necrophilia? About 30 seconds.
Oh, that's bad.
That's gross.
That can't be any worse than the conversation people were having on live stream the other day.
Probably not. I actually thought that was pretty tame. It even had a science word. It's not like I said fucking a corpse.
Oh, because you use the word necrophilia.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a doctor joke, if anything.
Well, people were talking about that, and then they were talking about if zombies were necrophilia, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then they're like, well, it depends on if the person died and became a zombie, or if it's just like a fungus that's affecting the brain that is making them into a zombie. It was a whole really weird conversation. This is reminding me of it. Let's not go into those sentence.
It was a whole really weird conversation, or it was a really weird conversation about a hole. Either one of those works.
About dead holes. But I guess from the intellectual standpoint, the idea, if zombies, let's say, are undead...
I thought you were getting back to the game. I didn't realize you were just going to keep going with this conversation.
Well, no, I mean, that's if two zombies, let's say they're like conscious, like aware zombies, if they're having sex, is that necrophilia? If they're both dead already...
I mean, they can
Okay, that's going into really weird territory. I'd rather not go into.
Both be necrophiliacs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would they be, or would that just be normal? Because if they're both, then it's not. Because I think specifically, I don't know the root word specific, the etymology of it, but I think necrophilia has to be one alive and one dead, because there isn't, a real world example of two dead things trying to have sex. So I don't think that would really even have a word for it, because it couldn't really. It's kind of a non-issue, I guess, in the real world. Anyways, when Fox said that, that's what I was thinking. It's like, well, I guess there's got to be an intellectual analysis of this, in that if they were both zombies but capable of consent, let's say, then would that still be necrophilia or not?
Okay, I'm gonna send you the link for next time they stream, so you can join in the conversation if you have Twitch. That would be freaking hilarious.
Anyway. All right, you guys go ahead and resume your conversation then.
All right, Pogo during this conversation is going to go grab some shots of whiskey and bring them up for me and my new 3 compatriots, Sierra, Andrew, and Solomon. And we'll do a little toast, and we're going to take a shot. But Pogo's going to go ahead and do the trick where he just kind of pushes it over his shoulder.
And just throws it on the floor for Abraham to clean up later?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you've already had quite a bit to drink. So what are, based on the conversation thus far, Arteme has kind of said that's where she wants to go. What are Sarah and Norok's thoughts so far?
Depending on how long we think this is going to take, I am all for it.
How long do you think it's going to take?
I don't know, that's what we need to find out.
I don't know if we can figure that one out.
Timeline.
What's your timeline? Are these like city tests where they only do them once every 3 weeks?
No, I have, what is that, like 3 months?
A little over 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, so, as long as we're not gone.
Do you have... So can you take it at any time, or do you have to be back in the main city in 3 months?
I have to be back and get it done by the end of the 3 months. I can do it before then.
Anytime. And it's not in the city, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, I wrote it down
It's
somewhere
the
here
forest
in my
of
notes.
Black, which is... It's not super far from the city. Basically, it's northwest of here. So, honestly, either one of them would be kind of on the way back. Although the way that Ozzy has described it to you, guys could essentially just be teleporting straight back, so you wouldn't necessarily need to walk it. But if you were going to, it would be away southeast of the city, of the capital of Mist.
Okay, so it's southeast of the capital?
Yes. Everything, both the Monodoran Isles and the capital are northwest of you. I don't have the world map to show you guys. I should have prepared the entire world map for you, but there's a ton of detail on it that I'm awful at. So it takes me a long time to make a decent map. But basically, where you guys are, you know what? Here, I will. That map's not going to show enough for you. The region map for the Caliodoran that I've shown you before, the really badly drawn one. You guys, here, I'll share this one real quick. You guys are on. Oops, I'm going in a circle here. So you guys are over there, and you guys have seen the Borderlands map. So the Borderlands map, I'm going to share every map so you guys can see everything. Here you go. So that you guys remember this one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys are still
with our amazing battle plans.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are still right there inside of that red circle that I just made. That's where Dunskathek and the Crowfort are. The region map that I showed you where the Caliodoran is and I drew that red arrow on, this whole area is this sea, that's the east side of the Caliodoran. That makes sense? You guys understand where those maps are? So that being said, going back over to the region map that shows the Caliodoran, that red arrow is pointing to the east side, so there's some islands in the middle of the Caliodoran there, but they're not where you guys are going. This, over here, there's a chain of islands over here, and that is the Monodoran Isles. That's where the elf place would be that you guys are going to, where Gwynsair is, which is an elven kingdom. This is the capital of Mist, and where Hyrith is, the forest of Hyrith, is like in this area, basically, on your way back. So if you guys, basically, if you teleport, well, you're going to teleport, but if Ozzy sends you there, he could send you here, or he could send you here, and either way, Hyrith is kind of on your way back if you were to walk back, or you can just teleport back, and then he can send you elsewhere later on.
I appreciate the input, Solomon.
Yeah, he just breaks out this huge region map and points to everything.
Solomon, in his amazing cartographer skills, apparently has now taught us that you do not need to go to the capital. You need to go somewhere east of Phandalin. Yeah. So,
which would be kind of on your way back, but spell what?
The name of that forest that we're supposed to go to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's where the Tower of First Augury is. Well, one of the towers of First Augury.
So, Norak, what do you think, you big man? What do you think we got the best options here? We can go try to get help for Maybe, and then use her to help us try to assassinate some people in the Vabian Legion. I don't mind that one. What do you guys think? That sounds pretty good, right? Sierra, Andron, Solomon?
Oh, I don't think we've been invited on your little away mission.
No, I'm just wondering what you think might be the best option. We have that, or we can go try to convince the Empire to open this portal and get everyone out. Hopefully maybe convince him other ways that we can help in this endeavor.
Well, and Clover's already going to talk to him.
Is he?
Ben, do me a favor, G. Give me a... What would this be? Maybe memory.
Is it a memory? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what I'm asking about? Do you understand why I'm asking you to check this?
Possibly, but I'm gonna roll anyway.
Okay.
Something that Norak's thinking of.
Yeah, probably. It only happened a few hours before. It's just a matter of whether you kind of put two and two together. It's an intelligence check anyway, just with a 0 modifier, so memory would be fine. Okay. Something happened while you guys were in the war room with Strings, Clover, Ozzy, Pepperjack. Samson was supposed to be there and was not there, which you guys noticed that Pepperjack had asked for him and he wasn't there. You guys didn't necessarily, find out why, but he was not there. But basically, you guys and then those four. While you guys were standing around the table and having this conversation, Norok noticed something that none of the rest of you noticed because he's taller and was able to see over the edge of the table. I'm going to whisper it to Norok now. With that roll, I would say that it stands out enough for you to remember it. G, it's up to you if you wanted to share it or not.
Okay.
So I'll type it to you. You guys can go ahead and continue talking, and then Norok can just interrupt us if you need to.
Well, you guys know my vote. I'm going to my homeland.
Yeah, I think it could be helpful. I mean, since Ozzy's going to be the one that's teleporting us anyways, I can just see if when the time comes, he can just teleport me to the Tower of First Augury when I need to go.
How does this work also with the teleporting? Can they just teleport us back, or do we have to be in a certain spot, or do we have to be with... Like, how are we going to get back? Will they just teleport us back?
He said he could get us back, so we need to find out exactly how he plans to do that. Like, if there's a way we contact him when we're ready, or...
All right.
You see Sierra looking amongst you guys, and she says, I mean, you got... Lady Sarah, I mean, you've got some arcane capabilities, don't you? Pogo, you as well?
Yes.
Nothing to get us back from an island. I don't have magical boat.
Well, usually what we do is, at least if you have somebody with some aptitude, then one of the mages teaches you how to draw the circle.
Oh, that could be fun.
You draw the circle, you let them know you're ready, and they snap you out of it, and you teleport right back.
Oh,
that's kind of our extraction plan. It'd be the out of as the DM, not as Sierra. It's the equivalent of like a Black Hawk helicopter sneaking in and doing it back.
10 points to Sierra. Well, as long as we have a way in and a way out, I can always make myself look like an elf. I have a disguise kit. I can even make Sarah look like an elf. Norok, I have no idea. He's just gonna have to be very nice, I suppose. Do the elves have anything against the Yargrace?
Not that I know of.
Does she know if the elves don't like the Yogs or not?
No, not that anybody knows of. No,
Okay.
Nothing that stands out anyways. There probably are local arguments over land and things like that, but it's not a cultural hatred or anything.
You know what? And I'm gonna look at Sierra in the eyes, and I'm gonna say, we have a friend in need. She's been hurt, and she's been helpful, and we should go there to try to save her and bring her back to their former self. It's what any gentleman and good-hearted person would do.
I'm rolling my eyes at this.
She doesn't. Oh, okay, so deception. not even persuasion, but deception, which means you don't believe that this is true.
Nope. I'm just telling this to Sarah so that she thinks that I'm a very good, sweet-hearted, kind, and funny individual.
I'm gonna warn Pogo that he'd have to really tone down his theatrics, because if he gets the wrong kind of attention, he will get himself killed.
Is there really a wrong kind of attention? If there's a wrong kind of attention, I don't know if I want. It's worth it. The risk is worth it.
Well, we can always just gag him because he's our prisoner. He needs to get with us.
I'm just gonna look at him, roll my eyes, and say it's your funeral.
If you're gonna gag me, be aware I might get aroused. I'm just saying. I'll hang out in Norok's backpack again. That wasn't too bad.
So are we all agreed then?
All right, I think we're in
Wanna
agreement.
go see the elves?
We're gonna do our damnedest to get what we need from the elves and get Maibi back on her feet.
Well, as you guys are kind of coming to your agreement, Sierra stands up, and then Solomon immediately after. Andron says, "Oh, is it? Yeah, I guess we should probably head back."
I'm actually going to invite Sierra to see if she'd like to check out the bathtub cheese room.
How did I know that was where you were in for?
Because wouldn't you be interested if someone asked you to see the bathtub cheese room?
She says, give me a persuasion check.
All right.
This is on. What's that?
Can I roll an insight check?
Sure. On what are you inciting?
I want to know if they're leaving because it's getting late, or if they got information that they wanted.
Go
and
ahead.
Now they're just leaving.
Sure. It's hard to tell. Like, you weren't necessarily thinking that the whole time, or I think you hadn't mentioned it at least. So maybe if you'd been analyzing, from the beginning, if they were spies, basically, then you might have picked something up. But as it is, it doesn't. You're not picking anything of that sort up. They seem to be, throughout the conversation and the time that they were here, they seem to be kind of normal soldiers enjoying a relaxing evening.
Any good spy worth her salt. This isn't me talking. This is just Justin. But any good spy worth her salt.
This isn't me. This is Justin.
Yeah, sorry. This is Justin, not Pogo. So any good spy worth her salt would definitely not hesitate to try to honeypot Pogo. So since she's hesitating, I'm gonna say she's not a spy. I don't know about the other two guys.
Well, I'll say she was kind of on the fence initially, but when you ask, she kind of shrugs. She says, "Fuck it, why not?" And Andron and Solomon both give her like a eyebrow, "Are you serious? Like this little idiot?" And they say, "Well, I guess see you in the barracks. Hopefully, be safe." And then they both kind of make their way out. Sierra sits back down.
All right. No, me and Sierra are gonna go check out the cheese and bathroom.
She stands up then again and puts her hand down, and it's to both Norak, Arteme, and Sarah. I mean, Sarah probably less so because you're used to seeing this from the back, this profile. But to Norak and Arteme both, it looks a little bit like a mom holding a little kid's hand, which is really awkward and a little strange. As from the back profile, as they go walking through the doorway.
So many judgments.
Have fun.
All right. So I'm gonna take her down, and then I'm going to make her a little like a cheese platter with some wine, and I'm gonna show her the trick. I'm gonna use heat metal. Let's see if I have any more spell slots. I might have. I do.
The spell slot for that.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I'm gonna show her. I'm gonna be like, "You want to see a magic trick?" And I'm gonna heat the biggest bathtub we have in there. I'm gonna use heat metal level 2 to get it super hot and toasty to where it's almost like a bubble bath, like a little spa. And then I'm gonna try to seduce her into the hot tub for adult naughty time.
All right, I'm going to, because you've sobered up a little bit, but because you're still tipsy, I want let's see, because there's a certain precision where something is hot but not too hot. As far as the boiling of the water.
Sure.
Give me a probably just a flat intelligence check, I think.
Damn.
You could basically end up cooking yourself like a roasted lobster.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering how bad he can fuck this up.
No, not too bad.
Okay, so you managed to get it nice and toasty and have yourself.
And then it's a concentration spell, so I'll drop it when it gets too hot.
All right. Then you have yourself a fun evening with the girl blinder lady.
Yeah.
Arteme, well, Fox, go ahead if you're back. But Pogo and Norak and Sarah, what are you guys doing?
I'm actually going to tell Sarah now that there's not a bunch of foreign ears listening. Well, not exactly foreign, but the crowblinders and stuff. And just tell Sarah what you had told me about what I had noticed. So I'm going to tell her that the last time that we saw Pepperjack dead, when we were talking about the Emperor, that Clover was touching his knife. So I'm guessing maybe there's her knife, while the Emperor was being talked about. So I'm guessing we're not the only people thinking about talking to the Emperor, but maybe they're thinking about doing more than talking. So just to let you know that before we decide where we're going.
Fantastic.
So yeah, shit might blow up anyway, just to let you know. So that might change what we're doing, just to let you know.
Fox,
or maybe not, who knows. So
Fox is AFK, right?
And if Artemis there, then I'll tell. If Artemis there, I'll tell her too. I just don't know where she was. So,
okay,
she didn't join us. She went back to her room, didn't she? She
no,
didn't want to hang out.
No, she did. You're all four in the vessel.
Okay, well then I would have been telling Arteme too then. So
Yeah,
just,
Pogo's the only one that's not present. Just Arteme
Yeah.
or Fox herself rather is AFK.
Scar, I was like, why are there rings?
Well, I purposely was waiting till Pogo left too, because I didn't want his drunken self to accidentally blabber to somebody. So
Pogo's got himself a reputation. What did you say, Justin? Why are there what?
Oh, I muted it when I thought I unmuted it. I would have just, I was saying, never, I would never do that. By the way, 12 minutes later, I'm already back. I wish Sierra a wonderful evening, and gave her a small piece of cheese to take with her back to the barracks. I said, thank you, it's been a long day, I appreciate it. I need to go to bed, I've got an early battle in the morning. You've been wonderful, you've been great.
So Sierra makes an awkward walk of shame at the front gate.
And I'm joining the other group.
Okay. You're back in the mess hall or in the great hall then. Fox,
Yeah.
let me know when you're back. Put it in here.
So basically in the morning, we're going to get all situated, and we're going to head out to Arteme's homelands.
Who was that? Fox, you back? Or was that Becky?
No,
That was
that was
Becky.
me.
What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, based on what Norok said, maybe we should have another discussion.
What happened?
That doesn't necessarily need to change your guys' plans at all. That's just something that Norok noticed when you guys were in the warp room. That, that Clover. Well, you guys know that Clover is being sent to the Empire for whatever reason. To at least she's going to be leading up the mission to try to convince the Emperor. And when, I want Fox to know about this as well. So when she gets back, I guess we'll look at that. But we're about time anyway, so we'll probably end here in a minute.
now that Pogo's back and his Lady of the Night has left, then I'll tell him too what I saw. So.
She has a name. It's Sarah.
Ladies of the Night has a Lady of the Night has a specific
I only
connotation.
paid her with cheese. Come on.
Well, I was going to say he gave her something and she left.
More like
his
Mouse
name
of the
returns
Night.
to Sarah.
Gave her 3 minutes of a good time.
Yeah, 4.5, maybe 5.
He took time to warm up bathwater. So obviously some of that 12 minutes was spent elsewhere.
Sure, there was some lead up. But anyway, so we're speaking about maybe not going there. Why?
Well, or at least letting Pepperjack know, so he can maybe.
No, what?
someone
What are we
with her.
talking about?
Oh, yeah. The last time we saw the commander, that Clover was touching her knife when the Emperor's name was mentioned. So, I'm guessing there's
So?
alternative plans. So,
What is that?
for meeting the
Oh, you
Emperor.
think? Wait, you think she's gonna try to kill him?
That's the impression that I got. Don't know for sure, but she
That's
did
a-
have that look on her face. So,
As a man who's seen plenty of women who have "I want to kill you" look on your face, doesn't always mean they're gonna do it.
Yeah, but maybe it's better to be safe than sorry. At least that
Yeah.
Pepperjack knows we can send someone with her that maybe a voice of reason.
Well, that's fair. He also might know Clover better than us too.
Fox is back, so go ahead, G. Go ahead and explain what you saw.
when the last time that we all saw the commander, when we saw Pepperjack, when we were in there with the room, I was tall enough to notice that when the Emperor's name was mentioned, when they were talking about going to meet with the Emperor, that Clover was stroking her knife and had a very
It's not a euphemism, by the way.
yeah, had a very sinister look on her face. So thinking there might be alternative motives for going to visit the Emperor.
These guys think that means that we should at least tell Pepperjack about it and maybe go with her to the Emperor. I'm not really sure that's
Well,
all
maybe
that
not
necessary.
us go with her, but at least tell Pepperjack so he can send someone with her. That is
You
Deal.
do
reason
realize,
that'll calm
though,
her
that
down.
just...
I mean, that's fine. We'll just tell
Clover isn't-
Pepperjack.
Clover is an elf, and the humans have been rather... How should I put this nicely?
I'll say
Tediously...
this too, that you guys all noticed that especially when Arteme mentioned going back to her homelands and not taking Clover. Now, obviously, that was corrected afterwards, but that Clover had a response of, it was very clear that Clover wanted to go to the Monodoran Isles, but she is being sent to the Empire, to the city.
Oh no, okay. Part of that was just me thinking. When I said that the first time that I wouldn't take anybody, that was more like a thought, and then what I said out loud was the only person I would take with me is Clover, because elves don't take too kindly to out.
I gotcha. Okay, I thought you were saying the whole thing outside.
Oh no. Sorry, I'm gonna have to be a bit more distinctive of thought versus actual saying.
You're fine. I would just say that you guys still kind of got the impression that she would much rather be going to the Monodoran Isles, but she is being sent to the Empire specifically on the mission, and I'm putting this in air quotes, to convince the Emperor. And specifically what Norok noticed is that exactly when Pepperjack was saying convince the Emperor, she was kind of stroking the blade of her knife of her belt. And you do know, all of you know this, by the way, that she is literally a professional assassin. She's a dynastic.
So in other words, Pepperjack could already have an idea.
Yeah. But honestly, if... How should I put this? If he's not going to actually defend people from his own land, yet try and conquer others, having him removed and replaced might actually be a good...
But not if his replacement is the person that's, the woman that they were talking about.
Dimra?
Do we know enough about politics to know who his replacement would be?
It would not automatically go to an advisor, if that's what you're asking. You would know that.
Does the Emperor in this world, in there, work more like a standard monarchy? Like
yes, similar to
his son would be?
He's actually the nephew of the previous Emperor, which was Simon Caius. So he's Gaul Caius. Generally, Caius he's Emperor Caius, but that is the last name. Essentially, he is Gaul Caius. But his uncle was Simon Caius, who, when he died, Gaul took over.
So would it go to Gaul's firstborn?
Yeah, exactly. It would be. He doesn't have sons, but it would pass to another member of his family. It would not, by default, let's say, go to anyone outside of his family. That said, it could be, a usurper issue. It could.
Sure. Who doesn't love a good coup?
Yeah.
Well, honestly. This is.
I put that backwards. I'm sorry. Simon Caius is the kid. That is the current emperor. Gaul Caius was.
I mean, honestly, I feel like dealing with the threat in front of us. This emperor is already shit. So another emperor, even if it's shit, we're just going from shit to shit. But honestly, we don't know if she's gonna do anything. If we let Pepperjack know, go about, and then go with our original plan, I think that'll be fine. Unless Pepperjack tells us or hints at us that there's more to it, I think that's still fine. Sometimes people just grab their sword to grab their swords. Adjust your sword. Maybe the next to your sword itches a little bit.
I knew you'd have to turn it into some kind of a euphemism, so I was curious how I was going to come around to that.
Okay, now you're just going from one point to the other.
Sometimes you touch it for that reason too.
And then back again. And then back.
This happens.
Okay.
That was a good joke, and no one really laughed.
I got a good chuckle out of it, actually.
Nicely put.
Alright, so either way, we should let Ozzy know where it is that we decided to go, which is to the elves, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Now we just have to decide on if we're going to talk to Pepperjack or just trust that Pepperjack knows what he's doing by sending his assassin to go talk to the king.
I'd say just leave her be with what she's going to do. Either way, unless the new emperor decides to try and conquer more native lands, there shouldn't be a problem. But if that's the case, there's going to be people to assassinate this one. The new one that would be arisen anyway.
Just for a very quick history break there. So the sacred progressions that I mentioned, that was specifically what the early humans, this is over 2,300, almost 2,300 years ago, that was them wiping out the native peoples, the elves, and the dwarves, and so on, area. Now, all of the nearby kingdoms are all humans, but at that point, when we left off the history lesson earlier, there were multiple separate kingdoms, including Vavi, which is still mostly human. Almost all the kingdoms surrounding here are all human, but the emperor, or the empire rather, was annexing those same kingdoms, those friendly people, attacking their own humans, basically other human cultures, and taking over those kingdoms, which is Kedril, Hale, Eiffel, the region that you guys were from, Eifelstead and Auburn and all that stuff, that's in Hale. The Estermark, which is the region that Arteme was kidnapped from, all of that area, those used to be individual kingdoms that were individual. They were not part of the empire, but they've been annexed in the last 50 or so years by the previous emperor.
Okay, so
they're trying to steal native lands. That's basically, there aren't native lands in that area anymore, but they are still expansionist and still trying to take
no,
over.
but what I'm saying, unless they like expand throughout all the human ones and then try and expand to the new native lands, there shouldn't be a problem, because the other races aren't gonna do anything if the humans are interkilling each other. Because what's the point of dealing in human politics if they're just gonna turn on us next? Let them destroy themselves. It's a crappy way of looking at it, but it is accurate.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. It's shit.
Yeah, a lot of the non-human cultures have kind of little pockets. Think of it like in the United States, at least, and Canada has these as well. But the kind of reservations, like native reservations, the Yogg, for example, the Yogg lands are in the Empire. They're just basically regions the Empire doesn't care about because there aren't good resources there. So the Yogg live in the mountains there.
Yeah, so unless the humans try to go after that, we're just going to let them destroy each other without really caring. If the humans destroy each other, we can move back into the lands we previously had before the humans came here.
Where's the Vabian Legion coming from on this giant map?
Like
that's the south.
So they're coming from Queefin Mahat?
Kafunamat was an ancient city that had been just recently uncovered. The sand is basically blowing off of it. So that was an ancient city. But Al-Qadir is where that whole desert area, that is Vavi on the south.
Got it.
And the arrow to the right is basically this. In fact, actually, where Al-Qadir is, that's where the rest of the group here, they landed in Al-Qadir by that slave ship. And then were evicted there, creating the Chain of Dogs by the Vabian Legion, and then sent that way, which goes out eventually leading to Dunskathek, which is where you guys are.
Got it. Queefin Mahat.
Yeah, Queefin Mahat. I think Kafunamat is actually an ancient Egyptian town name, if I remember right. An actual ancient Egyptian town.
Probably. It sounds familiar from stuff. I know, like, that's not the issue at hand, to where, like, just the humans destroying each other and then we can move back. I'm sure, like, that's not the current issue, but I'd still rather not deal with human politics, considering I avoid Elven.
Which I understand, but the whole problem is that the humans aren't just going to assassinate themselves and then it'll be over. It'll be one part of the human race is going to kill the other part and then continue to expand to take over the rest of shit, because that's just
but once they have their forces, it'd be easier for the other races to band together and just kill them.
Which is just going to make the humans band together. Either way.
Not necessarily, because if they're already torn apart with war, old prejudices die hard normally. Look at Sam.
In this world, do the humans still hate the elves?
A little more the other way around.
Some do.
Got it.
Yeah,
which is why I wouldn't normally want to take anybody to the homeland, because of the prejudice and the weariness, because it'd be hard to get information, but I do have a contact. I could try and get information out, but I'd have to meet them alone.
The in general, you can ignore that one there. There are, of course, still racist humans, but for the most part, elves are more likely, let's say 75% of elves don't like humans, whereas 75% of humans don't care. So let's say a lot more humans are indifferent to elves, or don't have any necessarily like any racial prejudices against non-humans, but a lot of the non-humans that were kind of subjugated for a very long time, many of them kind of still hold old grudges.
Well, yeah, when you're being... Look at it from this point of view. Elves live a long time, so to them humans are pretty much like fireflies. And they were subjugated by fireflies, per se, because they have such a short lifespan, right?
And they multiply very fast.
Yes. That's one way of looking at it, right?
So I'm just gonna like kind of walk over and say, you know, I have a dream that one day
God damn it.
elves and halflings and humans. I don't know the rest of the team.
Judged by the content of the character.
Judged by the content of the character, not by the pointiness of their ears.
I was gonna say, yeah, the shape of the ears. Anyway.
I'm gonna say I'm still I'm honestly fine with just letting Pepperjack know, and then continuing to find what we need to save April.
I'm just gonna look at Pogo and shrug. I don't really care what race people are, as long as they don't bother me or try and kill me. But try and kill me, and you're. That's the way I look at it.
While you guys
That's
are
fair.
having this conversation, there's a knock at the door.
Come in.
I'll go answer it while he's yelling.
Come on in.
The door opens. It's dark and cold outside. It's very it's like pitch black outside. You immediately recognize that the wind has blown out the sconces, so there's not any light coming from outside. But when the door opens, you guys see the light from your fireplace in here illuminated on Ozzy's face, and he steps on through. Says, "Oh, I was afraid you guys had fallen asleep without kind of giving me an idea of your plans. Did you have an opportunity to discuss, figure out what it is you intend to do?"
I'm gonna look at Artemis.
I'm pretty much yes.
He kind of grins. He says, I was hoping you'd say so. I was not looking forward to trying to convince you all otherwise. You seem somewhat strong-willed."
Okay, wait. Who was coming to the door?
Ozzy.
Oh, Ozzy. Okay, yeah.
And I'm gonna ask, do you think that the decision to send, was it Rook? No, Rook's the bartender. What's the
Clover?
Clover.
It's Clover, but
do you think
either
it's a
way,
great decision to send Clover to go try to convince the Emperor? We think it might not be the greatest of decisions.
As much as I may have my disagreements with Commander, he knows what he's doing, and Clover is, let's say, amongst the most competent people I've ever met.
All right.
If there's work to be done there, I trust that she'll be capable of handling it.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, that works for me. Actually, I'm gonna roll an insight check to see if he believes it, or if he's just trying to blow smoke up our butts.
I'm gonna look at Pogo and say, even if Clover does have a disposition of hating humans, she's not gonna put everybody here at risk just to kill.
You guys have met Clover enough to know she's almost certainly not racist at all. She doesn't appear to have any prejudice against humans in particular.
Even if she
individuals,
did,
but not humans.
Yeah. Even if she did, even if she had like something against the Emperor himself, she wouldn't risk the lives of everybody here just for that. That's not in most elves' nature anyway. If we do have time, if we do have time after we find the Ark and bring it back, we'll go and join Clover in trying to convince this human to help.
Sure, or at least we can find some other options. Like at that point, if something has changed with the situation, we can delve deeper into it, figure out which direction we want to go. But I'm fine with our current decision.
What I was hoping you would see that the smartest way of things would be to at least start the ball rolling on ending this war before it can really become a war. Ending these hostilities, and then focus on getting everybody out of here. We're all relatively safe as it is, anyways. So if we can prevent this from blowing up, and all the people, both Fabian and Mistian, can be saved as best as possible. We can at least go about that after.
I'm just gonna say, keep me apprised of maybe situation. We'll try and work as fast as possible, and if these guys are all ready, because I'm pretty much packed up and ready.
I haven't really unpacked anything yet. I'm just wearing the same things, but I need a nice night's sleep, and then in the morning we can depart. We do need some form of scroll, or if you can teach us how to get back, that would be fantastic.
That was going to be my next topic. So, of you, I apologize, Lady Artemis, but I don't think you have the access to the kind of arcane capability that you would need for this particular ritual.
I would just shrug and nod unless it's a scroll or ritual. I could use.
It's not. It's an arcane ritual, but your Where your power comes from, your rill is called Fentesrith, and it's not arcane. It's nature. It's kind of like the primal rills we talked about before. So it's just not the kind of spell you could learn essentially. It basically wouldn't be access to it. Would be a spell that the druids would learn, but since
I'll just shrug and nod. No offense taken.
But Pogo and Lady Sarah, you both, I think, have the capability, so I can teach you the practice of it. It's really not all that complicated. You just have to be able to draw this arcane circle and then infuse it with a small amount of power. And then, let me know over these. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out 4 stones. You've seen them before. They're the same kind of stone that Sarah had previously. He says, I've, for lack of a better word, upgraded these a little bit so that you'll be able to communicate amongst each other and then back to me and also to Commander Pepperjack.
Ooh, magical walkie-talkies.
Yeah, they're stone phones. Yeah, they're rocky-talkies or stone phones.
Walkie-talkies.
But
I'm just gonna look at him and like, yay, thank you.
he just nods. He says, "Take good care of them. I see you still have the bag, so."
Yeah, not losing this.
He gave them that bag that Artemis carrying.
Yeah, better not. It has all my treasure that I stole.
I'm just gonna grab him at that and say, if you steal from elves,
It's
you'll
not
die.
stealing. It's taking
Reappropriate.
from dead people.
He says the stones they're a little better than they had been previous. If you're well, see Fox. Back in the day when the rest of us were kids, if you wanted to call the next town over, it would be called long distance, and there would be extra charges for that. I realized.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Nowadays you might call like roaming charges, but basically back then, long distance, if you tried to call the next town over.
It was literally like, what?
Like $1
miles?
a minute. Yeah. I think it was zip code based or something. But anyways, he describes it in that if it's over long distance, you'll still be limited to a very short burst of conversation. Still be limited to 25 words. But if it's within a mile, there's no real limit. So basically, within a mile, you can talk back and forth as much as you want. If you're going to communicate long distances, which of course means back to Pepperjack or Ozzy, still be limited to 25 words.
Okay, that works though. That definitely.
And then as far as the circle, he draws it on a paper, and he says, "Who do you?" Or on a sheet that he has. Who wants to hold on to this?
And I just immediately point to Sarah.
He kind of chuckles. He says, "Yeah, I was kind of hoping you would say that."
Yeah, I'm gonna forget, and then I'm gonna use it as toilet paper or something on accident.
Sarah is probably the best bet because she seems more studious. Yeah, studious and more attention to detail, and she'd actually keep her books in good condition as reference.
And I just had sex in a tub downstairs, so if we're really comparing the two, that's probably the best choice.
I don't see how that pertains to studying. And
I just wanted Ozzy to know, and I'm.
Oh, he's bragging. He's
just bragging. Let a man get a little humble bragging every once in a while.
Good. All
And
right.
I'm gonna look at Ozzy and be like, totally fantastic, by the way. I don't recommend it. We have a cheese tub room, so.
In case you want to take a bath with some cheese later.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll go ahead and we'll call it there then.
Yay! That was fun.
Next week, this is fucking sucks, but literally the next 3 weekends, including tomorrow, I have to work at 3 a.m.
Ouch. My
the next
condolences.
Yeah. But it's not that bad. So the stuff I have to do tomorrow, and then I have another one tonight, and then the 26th is an Oracle upgrade. So I guess the 2nd I won't have work. Other than that, for the next 4 weekends. But anyways, I don't think it'll be an issue. It's a relatively small update for next week.
Awesome. Well,
everybody good for next Saturday, normal time?
Yep.
As of right now, yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. That was
All right.
fun.
Hey.
Bye, guys.
Bye.